Chapter 1731. Su Fang couldn't be more familiar with the sailboat-shaped Dao artifact. What else could it be other than the Xianjia Gate? The owner of the Xianjia door was Zhang Ruoyun, 9 True 9 Yang. Chapter 175. Su Fang allowed the silver-white Xian Guang to be sucked into the Xianjia Gate. Then, the Xianjia Gate erupted with an imposing aura. The silver-white light suddenly shot out in all directions, melting the entire interior of the cage. Flames burst out of the blood-red cage, forming an astonishing shackle that enveloped the Xianjia Gate and burned wildly, preventing it from leaving. The flames incinerated the silver-white light layer by layer. Chi! The Xianjia Gate trembled violently and let out a buzzing sound. It broke free from the shackles and flew away, leaving behind a silver-white Xian Guang flickering on the spot. In addition to suppressing experts, the Xianjia Gate's main ability was to travel through space. It could travel through the void of stars and even through several immortal domains. In order to save Su Fang this time, Zhang Ruoyun had already made careful preparations. She used the power of the Xianjia Gate as the source to create a rune talisman and placed it in a chaotic void outside the chaotic sky great world. After Zhang Ruoyun activated the Xianjia Gate, she could directly travel to the spatial coordinates of the rune talisman. The blood-red cage was burned into fragments by the 9-sun immortal fire, and its power was greatly reduced. After all, the Xianjia Gate was a top Dao artifact of the great world, and its main ability was to travel through the void. After being activated by Zhang Ruoyun, the blood-red cage could no longer shackle it. The moment the Xianjia Gate disappeared, the blood-red shadow had already condensed into a man in blood-red clothes. At first glance, he looked somewhat similar to Law, but this person's face was old, and he had a pair of viper-like triangular eyes that flickered with a cold and sharp blood-red light. The Blood River Lord. A Dao artifact of the great world can actually break through the shackles of my divine ability. I really underestimated the low-level existence of the great world. The Blood River Lord looked at the silver-white Xian Guang left behind by the Xianjia Gate, and his triangular eyes flashed with surprise. Then, he sneered disdainfully. Trash Azura King, I didn't hesitate to lose nearly a third of my strength and spent countless resources to send a clone from the myriad realms with the help of a formation. How can I let you escape so easily? Then, the Blood River Lord's blood-red clothes robe's long sleeve, and the blood-red cage turned into a blood-red light that was absorbed into his body. His originally blurry figure's body was, and his originally blurry figure became a bit more than before. The cultivators who were attacking the blood-colored cage saw the blood-colored cage disappear all of a sudden, only to be replaced by a blood-red figure. They were shocked and they quickly stopped attacking. Even so, over 100 sword beams continued to shoot towards Sir Blood River like tidal wave. Thant the St Kings? T then that be, his then his, S's. His S. Chi. There were over 1,000 cultivators attacking the blood-colored cage. A single glance from the Blood River Lord caused the blood energy within their bodies to roil uncontrollably before exploding. The bodies of the cultivators below the Dao realm exploded into a bloody mist. Although the Dao realm cultivators managed to preserve their lives, most of their blood chi was burned away. Some had wounds on their bodies due to the explosion of their blood chi, causing blood to spurt out. Whoosh! The Blood River Lord's body flashed with blood-red light as he entered the void. He followed the aura of the Xianjia Gate and chased after it. At the periphery of the chaotic heaven great world, in a chaotic spacetime, a triangular, silver-white Xian Guang suddenly lit up, tearing apart the shackles of the chaotic energy. Next, a massive sailboat-shaped Dao artifact appeared in the void. After the silvery white Xian Guang flashed, the figures of Su Fang and Zhang Ruoyun flashed out of the light. The Xianjia Gate quickly shrank and was absorbed into Zhang Ruoyun's body. Zhang Ruoyun, why are you here? You risked your life to save me. Su Fang was surprised and grateful for Zhang Ruoyun's appearance. If she hadn't appeared in time, he would have been in trouble. Zhang Ruoyun had used a lot of energy to activate the Xianjia Gate and break through the shackles of the blood-colored cage. Her face was abnormally pale and covered in a layer of cold sweat. She chuckled. "You saved me in the small world. What's the big deal if I save you again? Aren't you afraid of bringing trouble to your master and the sect? Like the Lord of Five Poisons, I've been kicked out of the sect by my master. I can only follow you from now on." Zhang Ruoyun looked at Su Fang pitifully. She didn't look like the master of a peerless Tao artifact like the Xianjia Gate. Su Fang was touched. Just as he was about to speak, the Tao of Destiny flashed out of his divine aperture again and quickly condensed into the figure of an old man in blood-red clothes. At the same time, a layer of blood-red light appeared in the yin-yang vortex formed by the Tianyan mystic scripture. It was an omen of great danger. The Azura expert Blood River Lord can actually find me in the chaotic spacetime. Su Fangda was shocked. The chaotic spacetime, outside the chaotic heaven great world, was created by the natural forces of heaven and earth. It could block and distort the senses of cultivators. Even Su Fang's great perfection ability was restricted. He didn't expect this Azura expert to be able to capture Su Fang so easily. Law's voice came from the blood jade in the time cavern. The abilities of the true experts of the God realm are not something you can imagine. If you leave this place and the clone of the Blood River Lord catches up to you, you won't be able to escape. Even if I borrow your body, it will be difficult to kill him. Zhang Ruoyun, the experts of the God realm, are coming. It will be very dangerous for you to follow me. You should use the Xianjia Gate to leave. The target of the Blood River Lord was Law. Zhang Ruoyun could use the Xianjia Gate to leave easily. There was no need for her to take the risk with Su Fang. Zhang Ruoyun's eyes were red. "Su Fang, I have already left Master and the gluttonous immortal sect. I have no home now. Where can I go? I will put you into my magic treasure world first. Don't resist." Su Fang activated the magic treasure world of the Zhenlong world and wrapped Zhang Ruoyun in it. At this moment Su Fang appeared. Zhang Ruoyun's eyes flashed with a hint of pride. She didn't look as pitiful as before. This girl has grown up. She is no longer the naive girl from the small world. Su Fang sighed in his heart and put Zhang Ruoyun into the Zhenlong world. Law said, "This girl is infatuated with you. How much courage did she need to risk her life to save you? If you fail to live up to her feelings, then you are worse than a beast. I already have Xuanxin in my heart. How can I tolerate another woman?" Su Fang released the green feather demon emperor as he responded to Law. He planned to use his talent to quickly leave this place. Then why didn't you think of Xuanxin when you were doing it with Huang Lingyao? Su Fang had just jumped onto the back of the green feather demon emperor when he heard Law's words. He staggered and was so angry that he almost spat out blood again. Whoosh! The green feather demon emperor, who had turned into a green rock, flapped his wings and set off a spatial storm, forming a huge vortex. Then, he disappeared into the vortex. Before the spatial vortex returned to its original state, the Blood River Lord walked out of the chaotic void. "Ants of the great world, how dare you try to escape from me?" The Blood River Lord sneered disdainfully. His figure flashed, and he entered the spatial vortex. With the green feather demon emperor's current strength, he could use the talent of the rock race. With a flap of his wings, he could travel 100,000 miles in an instant. In this chaotic space where even peak Tao realm experts did not dare to travel, he was like a fish swimming in the sea. In just a few breaths, whoosh, the green feathered demon emperor emerged from the chaotic void. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In the depths of Su Fang's divine aperture, the Destiny Tao text of the heavenly secret life shrinking technique exploded again. "The Blood River Lord is chasing after me. With the green feather demon emperor's speed, it's impossible to shake him off. What should I do?" Su Fang was extremely anxious. He could not think of a good idea at the moment. He immediately activated the Heavenly Secret Life Shrinking Technique. With the ability of the Heavenly Secret Life Shrinking Technique to mask his aura, a divine power of destiny covered himself and the green-feathered demon emperor's body. Then, the green-feathered demon emperor flew across the sky toward the material plane of the chaotic sky great world. In just 5 or 6 breaths, the Blood River Lord slowly flew out of the chaotic space. He was calm and even looked like a cat playing with a mouse. A bloody light flashed in the Blood River Lord's eyes. He looked surprised. The aura of this great world ant has disappeared into thin air. Then, a bloody light shot out of his eyes. It was as if he could see everything in the great world. However, he still could not sense Su Fang's aura. The Blood River Lord's expression changed from surprise to disbelief. There seems to be an invisible force that has masked this person's aura. Even my sensing ability has been masked. I have never heard of such a divine power in the great worlds. It's unbelievable. However, if you want to escape my senses, you'll have to flee to the great worlds. The Blood River Lord smiled disdainfully and closed his eyes. A moment later, I've finally found you. The Blood River Lord smiled coldly and disappeared into the void. The green-feathered demon emperor instantly arrived above an immortal realm. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The Tao runes of destiny kept flashing, but they still could not shake off the Blood River Lord. Su Fang, although your ability to mask the aura of destiny is extremely powerful and can mask the senses of immortal realm experts, when this big goblin of the Rock Clan uses its innate ability, it will cause the natural energy of heaven and earth to fluctuate. With these minute fluctuations, the Blood River Lord can still find you. Do I have to find a place to stay? That way, there won't be any fluctuations of heaven and earth energy. That won't work. Although you can mask your aura, there will always be minute changes in heaven and earth because of your existence. These changes can't be detected by demigods, but they can't be hidden from a mortal realm expert. Then what should I do? The Blood River Lord's target is me, not you. If I come out to stop him, you can take the opportunity to escape. He won't chase you across the entire great world. Su Fang said resolutely, absolutely not. Chapter 1732. But I am different, Jiuzhen Jiuyang Chapter 1751. They can shackle my primordial spirit, but they can't kill it. At most, they can reseal it. I believe in your talent and ability. It won't be long before you can ascend to the outside world. One day, you will become a peerless expert in the God realm. At that time, you can try to rescue me. I'll just have to stay in the Crimson Cage for a little longer. Law's tone was unprecedentedly resolute. Absolutely not. Once you're resealed, there's almost no hope of saving you. Su Fang's tone was also very resolute. This was the first time he argued with Luo Xing. Suddenly, Second Primordial Spirit's cold voice sounded. Primordial Spirit, there's a way we can try. Su Fang's spirit rose. Second Primordial Spirit, you have a way to escape the pursuit of the God realm experts? What is it? Tell me. It's simple. Leave this place and go to the ancient immortal demon battlefield. Su Fang felt like a bucket of ice water was poured on his head. He was immediately disappointed. It's already so urgent. How can we still have time to go to the ancient immortal demon battlefield? Law sighed. It's possible to escape the Blood River Lord's pursuit in the ancient immortal demon battlefield, but how can we go to the ancient immortal demon battlefield? Second Primordial Spirit's tone was still cold, without a trace of emotion. Primordial Spirit, have you forgotten how Qi Yanzi came to the chaotic sky great world from the ancient immortal demon battlefield? Su Fang couldn't help but be startled. The next moment, Su Fang was in high spirit. Qi Yanzi obtained the inheritance of an ancient immortal and found the location of an ancient teleportation formation. Then he used the ancient teleportation formation to go directly from the immortal domain where the square heaven great world was located to the ancient immortal devil battlefield. Chapter 1751. 9 True 9 Sons. When he returned from the ancient immortal demon battlefield, Qi Yanzi couldn't return to the desolate immortal domain as he wished due to the long time. Instead, he came to the chaotic sky great world through another space passage. Since Qi Yanzi could come to the chaotic sky great world from the ancient immortal demon battlefield, why couldn't he use the teleportation formation to return to the ancient immortal demon battlefield? Su Fang immediately left the Yang Immortal and came to the true dragon realm. Brother Su, I've found the magic treasure fragment. I'll leave it to you. Previously, his second primordial spirit had accompanied Qi Yanzi to retrieve the Dharma treasure fragment that was suspected to be a fragment of the Dharma treasure. After returning, Su Fang was engaged in a fierce battle with Ancestor Tianming and Sanghan, so he didn't have time to check it out. When Qi Yanzi saw Su Fang, he thought that Su Fang was here for the magic treasure fragment. Without hesitation, he took it out and handed it to Su Fang. It was a palm-sized bronze fragment with mysterious patterns on it. It looked ordinary, but it emitted an ethereal and mysterious aura. Su Fang did not have time to examine it carefully. He directly used the power of the magic treasure of the true dragon world to send the magic treasure fragment into the time cave abode in the depths of his physical body. He handed it over to Yu Miaomei for her to study. Brother Qi, I'm not here for the magic treasure fragments. Let me ask you, when you came to the chaotic heaven great world from the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons, is that ancient teleportation formation still there? If it's still there, can you reverse the teleportation and return to the ancient immortal demon battlefield? Su Fang asked worriedly. If the teleportation formation was no longer there, or if it was just a one-way teleportation formation, then it would be quite dangerous. Of course I have to protect such an important formation. Before I left, I deliberately memorized the spatial coordinates and carefully concealed the teleportation formation. Plus, the teleportation formation is located in the chaotic spacetime. No one will find it. Even if someone finds it, they won't destroy it, Qi Yanzi said. Then, Qi Yanzi continued, in the ancient era, the chaotic heaven great world, and even the so-called central immortal domain, were undeveloped wilderness. The ancient experts created these teleportation formations in order to come to the wilderness to hunt some exotic beasts and collect treasures of heaven and earth. In the end, they still have to return. Naturally, the teleportation formations built are not one-way. Su Fang was overjoyed. That's great. Brother Qi, give me the spatial coordinates of the teleportation formation. Brother Su, are you planning to go to the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons? Qi Yanzi was also pleasantly surprised. I'm being hunted down by the experts of the God realm. I must use the teleportation formation to leave the chaotic heaven great world and go to the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. Qi Yanzi's divine light suddenly changed. He condensed the spatial coordinates of the ancient teleportation formation into a jade slip and handed it to Su Fang. Senior, go to these spatial coordinates immediately. Su Fang sent the jade slip to the green feather demon emperor. Buzz, buzz. The Tao runes of destiny and the true runes of the unraveling of heaven's descent grew louder and louder, indicating that the Blood River Lord was not far away. Blood River Lord, you're really haunting me like a ghost. Su Fang clenched his teeth and immediately condensed 2 blood-water doppelgangers in his body. Then, he and the 2 blood-water doppelgangers flew in different directions. With the Blood River Lord's speed, he would catch up to Su Fang before he sensed the location of the ancient teleportation formation. Therefore, Su Fang decided to go all out. He planned to sacrifice the 2 blood-water doppelgangers to distract the Blood River Lord and buy some time. Even if the 2 blood-water doppelgangers were killed by the Blood River Lord, Su Fang would only lose some blood qi. It would not take long for him to replenish it. He no longer concealed his aura. Instead, he suppressed his aura to the same level as the blood-water doppelgangers. Whoosh, the Blood River Lord broke through the air. He still looked calm and composed, like a cat playing with a mouse. However, the next moment, the Blood River Lord raised his eyebrows. There are actually 3 identical auras? There's actually such a unique Tao of doppelgangers in the great world that can cultivate their auras to be exactly the same? Humph, even if you can create thousands of clones, you won't be able to escape from me. It's just a little more trouble. Since that's the case, I'll play with you. The Blood River Lord smiled indifferently. Then, he once again merged into the void and chased after Su Fong. About 20 breaths later, Su Fong appeared at the edge of the chaotic heaven great world. At this moment, his body suddenly trembled. His face paled slightly. One of the blood-water doppelgangers was killed. The Blood River Lord is so fast. Su Fong was secretly shocked. He did not dare to delay for even a moment. He immediately plunged into the chaotic space-time created by the power of nature. After about half an incense stick's worth of time, the other blood-water doppelganger was also killed. The Fate Tao runes of the Heavenly Fate Life Shrinking Technique and the Heavenly Birth Mystic True runes became more and more active. After killing Su Fong's 2 blood-water doppelgangers, the Blood River Lord went straight for the main body. Senior, it's all up to you. Su Fong once again released the green-feathered demonic emperor. In the chaotic space-time, the green-feathered demonic emperor used all his innate abilities. Even a demigod expert was no match for him. Don't worry. The green-feathered demonic emperor also knew the severity of the situation. Once the Azura expert caught up with them, not only Su Fong, but everyone would not be able to escape. The green-feathered demonic emperor, who had transformed into the green rock, spat out a feather with mysterious golden patterns. It emitted an extremely powerful aura. Then, the green-feathered demonic emperor breathed out a demonic chi. The feather instantly ignited. A green divine light instantly enveloped the green-feathered demonic emperor's huge body. Boom! The green-feathered demonic emperor flapped his wings. A divine aura burst out, making him even faster than light. Time and space were distorted by this supreme divine aura. This feather had an extraordinary origin. It was a feather shed from the body of a big goblin of the demonic realm when he broke through the peak of demonic saint and became a demonic immortal. It contained the power of a demonic immortal. The green-feathered demonic emperor was brought to the demonic realm and was nurtured by demonic Saint Qing Luan. Even the feather left behind by the demonic immortal of the Rock Clan was given to him. Not only could he use it to save his life at a critical moment, but he could also comprehend the powerful innate abilities of the Rock Clan from it. Previously, when the green-feathered demonic emperor was being hunted by the Tianming Haotsong sex experts, especially the extremely powerful cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle, when his life was hanging by a thread, he was unwilling to use this feather. Now, in order to escape the pursuit of the Blood River Lord, the green-feathered demonic emperor took out his final trump card. Whoosh! In a chaotic abyss, countless star fragments and ruins were floating. After a flash of green light, the green-feathered demonic emperor appeared on a 1,000-mile-long star fragment. The green-feathered demonic emperor's feathers were falling off everywhere. His body was also shattered. Although traveling through the void with the help of the demonic immortal's power was unbelievably fast, surpassing the limits of time and space, the green-feathered demonic emperor was not even a demonic saint. His body could not withstand it and was now in a severely injured state. Su Fong came out of the green-feathered demonic emperor's stomach. At this moment, buzz. This time, it was not the life-shrinking technique or the heavenly divination mystic unravel. Instead, it was the great perfection ability that sensed that the Azura Blood River Lord's clone was less than 10,000 miles away. Let's go! The green-feathered demonic emperor flapped his wings with difficulty, sweeping up a surge of spatial power and bringing Su Fong to the center of the star fragment. An ancient teleportation array appeared in front of them. Poof! The green-feathered demonic emperor could not withstand it and fell to the ground. Su Fangda was shocked and hurriedly put the green-feathered demonic emperor into the true dragon realm. Bai Ling immediately sent over a king-grade yin-yang immortal sky pill and a ball of energy containing life essence to help the green-feathered demonic emperor recover. Su Fang came to the ancient teleportation array and quickly took out immortal stones and placed them in the grooves of the teleportation array. Just as Su Fang was about to make a seal to activate the teleportation array, a crimson-robed figure appeared at the edge of the star fragment. A low-level existence from a great world. You're not slow at all. You almost slipped away from me. Teleportation formation? The Blood River Lord's expression changed slightly when he saw Su Fang in the ancient teleportation array. Even a God Realm expert could not do as he pleased in the Great World. If Su Fang was teleported to some distant space, it would be very difficult for the Blood River Lord to find Su Fang. Too bad you won't have the chance to activate the teleportation array. Die. After killing you, the crippled king of my clan will be sealed again. Chapter 1733. Boom. Under the terrifying pressure of the Blood River Lord, the blood in Su Fang's body seemed to be boiling. Wisps of blood condensed into blood vessels that crazily drilled out from under his skin. His eyes were bloodshot and turned into a pair of blood-red eyes, looking very frightening. Although he was facing a slaughtered doppelganger of the Blood River Lord, the divine power released by this peerless expert of the Azura clan casually made Su Fang feel like a small boat in a stormy sea, about to be mercilessly smashed into pieces by the huge waves. The gap between the two was really too big, like the gap between a mortal and an immortal. It was completely beyond the limits of what Su Fang could bear. A low-level existence from the great world is quite extraordinary. To be able to help my clan's crippled king gather the blood jade, even Sang Han can't do anything to you. The Blood River Lord looked like a cat that had caught a mouse in its claws, his eyes full of ridicule. Then, a blood-red light flashed in his blood-red eyes, revealing a look of pleasant surprise. You actually have a perfect physical body? This is rare even in the God realm, and it contains such astonishing yang energy. If I devour your physical body, my cultivation that has been stagnant for many years might improve a little. Not bad at all. This time, not only can I reseal the crippled king's primordial spirit, but I can also obtain a perfect physical body full of yang energy. I also unexpectedly obtained an extremely extraordinary divine weapon, enough to make up for the cultivation that I lost in this trip to the lower realm. The Blood River Lord looked at Su Fang, not as if he was looking at a living person or a corpse, but as if he was a rare treasure. His eyes were full of coldness. Suddenly, from Su Fang's body came a cold shout, "Traitor, you're too early to be proud." Chi chi chi. From Su Fang's eyes, streaks of blood-red sword chi suddenly burst out, intertwining into a blood-red curtain of light, tearing apart the Blood River Lord's shackles and sweeping towards the Blood River Lord. Trash King, back then, when you were still powerful and your body and soul had not been separated, you were not my opponent. Right now, I have only sent a slaughter clone, and its strength is not even 1/100th of my original body. How can your soul threaten me? The Blood River Lord was very disdainful. After laughing coldly, his forehead suddenly split open, forming a bloody eye. An astonishing blood fiend burst out from it, burning into blood-red flames, and burned Law's sword chi into ashes. However, the Blood River Lord was also forced to retreat more than 20 feet, and the shackles that shackled Su Fang's body also disappeared. The Blood River Lord's primordial spirit attack. In the blink of an eye, Su Fang took out the immortal slaughtering bow, and after activating it, a dragon shadow arrow tore through space, carrying a monstrous killing aura, and shot towards the Blood River Lord. Unexpectedly, the Blood River Lord only raised his right hand, stretched out his index finger, and tapped the arrow. A blood-red light flashed on his finger, and the dragon shadow arrow was shattered, turning into nothingness. A low-level existence, No divine ability in the outside world can pose any threat to me. Just obediently become my cultivation material." The Blood River Lord shook his head and sneered, then grabbed at Su Fong in the air. The immortal slaughtering bow in Su Fong's hand flew out of his control, and with a whoosh, it flew into the Blood River Lord's hand. Then, the sinful blood fire burned in his palm, and he was about to destroy the immortal slaughtering bow. At this moment, Su Fong's eyes flashed with ruthlessness, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a mocking smile. Boom! A mysterious purple aura emanated from Su Fong's body, and with it came an unparalleled divine power that allowed him to control magic treasures. No matter how strong a god is, I don't believe that even the self-explosion of one of the 10 great Tao artifacts, the immortal slaughtering bow, can't threaten you. Su Fong decisively activated the immortal slaughtering bow, and the array inside shook, then collapsed layer by layer, as if a world was collapsing. The terrifying divine power of the self-explosion exploded from the immortal slaughtering bow. The Blood River Lord's expression changed slightly, and the sinful blood fire in his palm suddenly became fiercer, trying to suppress the self-explosion of the immortal slaughtering bow. Boom! With a muffled sound, the immortal slaughtering bow exploded. After all, the immortal slaughtering bow was one of the 10 great Tao artifacts of the outside world, and its self-explosion was terrifying. Although the Blood River Lord had suppressed the power of the explosion to a minimum, it still shook the Blood River Lord's blood-red robes, and his right hand was blown to smithereens. Chi. The wound on the Blood River Lord's wrist spurted out a mist of blood, which then condensed into flesh and blood. After squirming for a while, it quickly formed a new palm. However, the Blood River Lord's aura had become slightly weaker. Clearly, he had consumed a significant amount of his cultivation base and life force. "You actually dared to injure this lord. This lord will use the cruelest punishment of the Azura to torture you and make you regret ever being born into this world." The Blood River Lord's deep eyes exuded coldness, revealing a sharp killing intent. "You won't have the chance. Sooner or later, not only will I kill this clone of yours, I will even kill your true self." Su Fong revealed a sinister smile. He released the immortal demon monster from his body and formed a seal to activate the ancient teleportation array. "If I let a lowly existence like you escape from under my nose, where would I put my face?" How could the Blood River Lord watch as Su Fong escaped? Just as he was about to attack, an ethereal light suddenly burst forth from Su Fong's eyes and landed on the Blood River Lord's body. The creation of destiny, the master of heaven's secrets. "If I am destroyed, everything will be shattered." Lightning of destiny. In this moment of life and death, Su Fong no longer cared about any losses. He activated the life-shrinking technique and used the lightning of destiny to suppress the Blood River Lord's destiny. The Blood River Lord sensed a soundless rumble of thunder from the unseen world, and a great sense of danger descended upon him. The Blood River Lord's heart surged with perilous waves. In the blink of an eye, the Blood River Lord thought of countless peerless abilities, but none of them could dispel this unseen danger. The Blood River Lord's expression changed in shock. His previous expression of a cat toying with a mouse had completely disappeared. Rumble! The soundless lightning of destiny viciously bombarded the Blood River Lord's body. A terrifying power that could obliterate destiny threatened to obliterate his physical body, primordial spirit, and everything related to destiny. As expected of an expert of the Azura race in the myriad worlds, the Blood River Lord's face paled after being suppressed by Su Fong's lightning of destiny. His aura withered once more, as if he had been struck by an invisible force, and he was forced to retreat. Then he looked at Su Fong. His hair had turned snowy white, and his face had turned into that of an old man in his 60s or 70s. He trembled as if he could die at any moment. Using the life-shrinking technique on a god to suppress his destiny had cost Su Fong far more than any other expert he had used it on before. He had lost so much of his lifespan that he was on the verge of death. The losses this time were simply too great. His 2 blood-water clones had even destroyed one of the 10 great Tao artifacts, the immortal slaughtering bow. Now, he had lost so much of his lifespan. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The immortal demon monster had already activated the ancient teleportation array. After a violent tremor, a powerful spatial distortion erupted, and Su Fong and the immortal demon monster disappeared from where they stood. Damn it to the extreme. This clone of mine actually used up nearly half of my cultivation and life force. The Blood River Lord was enraged. A strong murderous aura swept out in all directions. The star fragment beneath him was reduced to dust, and the ancient teleportation array vanished without a trace. How could the Blood River Lord not be enraged when he had allowed a cultivator from a greater world to calmly escape from right under his nose after being repeatedly injured? Now, wanting to find Su Fong again would not be such an easy matter. Su Fong was secondary. The main thing was that Luo was an important figure that concerned the entire Azura race. In addition to his anger, the Blood River Lord was also a little alarmed. Su Fong's supreme divine ability not only caused considerable damage to his clone, but also to his true body. Aunt, you've angered me. I'll make you regret ever being born into this world. The Blood River Lord's eyes exuded a cold, bloody light. Occasionally, a bolt of lightning would flash across the vast expanse of heaven and earth. The rumbling of thunder shook the heavens and earth. Countless objects floated in the void, some as large as a world of immortals. From time to time, chaotic and violent natural energy of heaven and earth would form storms that swept across heaven and earth. Faint sounds of killing could be heard from within. War drums thundered, and waves of slaughter filled heaven and earth with a somber aura, as if they had arrived at a boundless battlefield. Winged big goblins exuding murderous auras, as well as resurrected big goblins that exuded a monstrous aura of death, whizzed through the air above the objects, adding a sense of death and violence to the somber battlefield. There was a 10,000-kilometer-long floating object. A 10,000-meter-long resurrected primordial dragon flew across the sky, blotting out the sun and sky. There were 2 human cultivators draped in beast hides on the object. When they saw the resurrected primordial dragon, they hurriedly used their flying swords to forcefully carve out a path through the mountain. When they arrived at a cave in the mountain, they heaved a long sigh of relief. It's a spatial formation, and an ancient transportation formation at that. One of them had a hideous scar on his face. His cultivation base was at the 5 Tao Saint Celestial stage. He immediately saw an ancient transportation formation at the center of the cave. An ancient transportation formation? If the damage isn't too serious, then we brothers are going to be rich. The other cultivator with fair skin and a similar cultivation base to the one with the scar on his face lit up with desire when he saw the ancient transportation formation. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At this moment, there was a huge commotion from the transportation formation. A wave of spatial divine might swept out, releasing a distorted rainbow light. 2 figures within the formation quickly turned from blurry to clear. Someone's teleported here through the ancient transportation formation. The 2 cultivators were shocked. Chapter 1734. Hee, we actually met 2 fat sheep. Our brother's luck is really too good to defy the heavens. Jiuzhen Zhiyang Chapter 1753. The cultivator with a scar laughed wildly. He activated a battle-axe Tao artifact and slashed at the teleportation formation with a terrifying aura. Those who can teleport here through the ancient teleportation formation must be fat sheep. If we destroy the teleportation formation before it's completed, even immortal venerables will be severely injured. In this way, everything on these 2 people will belong to us. The fair-skinned cultivator made a hand seal and released a sword chi to attack the teleportation formation. Boom! The 7-colored light shook violently. Before the teleportation was completed, the two figures in the formation were thrown out by the chaotic force of space and fell to the ground. One of them was an old man with white hair and a weak aura. When he got up from the ground, he could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His aura was extremely weak. The other was a black-clothed young cultivator. His aura was empty, and he had a cold temperament. 9 True 9 Yang Chapter 1753. Hand over your storage rings obediently, and I might spare your lives. At most, I'll sell you to the slave market. Hee. The cultivator with a scar laughed sinisterly and walked to the side of the two cultivators who had just been teleported. Be careful, Scar. The fair-skinned cultivator's eyesight was extraordinary. He could see that the cultivator in black was not ordinary. After the teleportation formation was destroyed, he came out as if nothing had happened. He immediately warned the cultivator with a scar. You're courting death, the young cultivator in black said coldly. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the air. A strange force of true chi and demon chi fused together and condensed into a claw that shackled the body of the cultivator with a scar. Ah, the cultivator with a scar had caught two fat sheep. Who would have thought that he would encounter two ferocious tigers? He was scared out of his wits. Spare my life. The cultivator with a scar had just opened his mouth to beg for mercy when he was crushed by the majestic yin-yang immortal demon force. The fair-skinned cultivator reacted quickly and had already escaped from the cave. Die. A black xian guang shot out from the forehead of the young cultivator in black and entered the divine aperture of the fair-skinned cultivator from the back of his head. A moment later, the black xian guang shot out from the white and clear cultivator's divine aperture and returned to the black-robed young cultivator's body. However, the white and clear cultivator was like a dead man standing there motionlessly. Second primordial spirit, destroy the teleportation array, the white-haired old man said in a trembling voice. This so-called white-haired old man was Su Fang, who had overused his life force. He had used the thunder of destiny to attack the Blood River Lord, which had consumed a large amount of his life force. As a result, he had turned into an old man. Just now, the teleportation had been interrupted before it could complete, and he had been attacked by the power of space, which made things even worse. The black-robed young cultivator was none other than the body of the immortal fiend monster that his second nascent divinity resided in. Those two cultivators had actually set their sights on Su Fang and the immortal and devil monster. They were truly unlucky. After the immortal and devil monster destroyed the teleportation array, Su Fang sat down with difficulty and merged all the blood and water clones he had left in the cavern of time to cultivate with his body. Only then did he recover some of his spirit and life force and struggle back from the brink of death. The loss of life force wasn't the same as physical injuries. Once it reached the limit of what Su Fang could bear, he would die even if he had heaven-defying means. The only way was to revive with the help of the blood and water clones. In this way, Su Fang's strength would be severely damaged and he would fall many levels. After entering the cavern of time, Su Fang immediately formed a seal and transformed into the nether blood sea, which began to devour Forefather Tianming's body. Su Fang, who had been severely injured by Azura Sanghan's self-detonation, borrowed the life essence of Forefather Tianming's body to quickly recover to his peak. Only then did Su Fang devour 20 to 30% of Forefather Tianming's body. At this time, Forefather Tianming's body had once again become a life-saving resource for Su Fang. If he knew in the underworld, he would feel extremely honored. 3 months passed in the cavern of time. The originally dead nether blood sea gradually burned with the flame of life. Only then did Su Fang transmit a thought to his second primordial spirit. Second primordial spirit, have you arrived at the ancient immortal and devil battlefield? Why did those two cultivators attack the teleportation array? From the memory of that fair-skinned cultivator, I can confirm that this is a corner of the ancient immortal and devil battlefield. As for why those two cultivators attacked the teleportation array in that cultivator's memory, this kind of killing and robbing was a very common thing in the ancient immortal and devil battlefield. It was as common as drinking water and eating. Killing and robbing without saying anything. I didn't expect the cultivators of the ancient immortal and devil battlefield to be so fierce. Su Fang was taken aback, and had his second primordial spirit transmit the stripped memories of the fair-skinned cultivator to him. After some interpretation, Su Fang was shocked. The ancient immortal and devil battlefield was definitely not what he had imagined. The ancient immortal and devil battlefield that Su Fang had imagined was a vast and boundless material continent. It was the battlefield of countless battles between the immortal Tao world and the devil race in the ancient times. However, this was not the case. From the fair-skinned cultivator's memory, Su Fang learned that the ancient immortal and devil battlefield was actually made up of countless planes divided by the natural forces of heaven and earth. They were like immortal realms. There were more than 300 material planes that were slightly larger. There were also countless other planes that had been created because of the imbalance in the natural energies of heaven and earth, or because of the collapse of space during the immortal devil Great War between the immortal Tao and the devil tribe. In addition, the ancient immortal and devil battlefield was not filled with resurrected experts. The 300 or so larger material planes were respectively occupied by cultivators, demons, monsters, and resurrected experts. Most of the cultivators and demons were the descendants of humans and demons from ancient times. Many of them had disappeared in the long river of history. They could still be found among the cultivators of the ancient immortal and devil battlefield, but they had withered and lost their former glory. As for the big goblin, most of them were the descendants of ancient fierce beasts and strange beasts. There were even many powerful big goblins with divine beast bloodlines. They occupied many material planes. The ancient immortal and devil battlefield was originally divided into 3 parts by humans, demons, and monsters. With the changes of heaven and earth, countless fallen experts were resurrected. They attacked other races without a target at first, but later they slowly formed a powerful and evil force and became the #1 force on the ancient immortal and devil battlefield. There were often large-scale wars between these 4 forces, especially the resurrected experts. The material planes that they had occupied over the years were more than that of the humans, demons, and monsters combined. The human cultivators were the weakest force on the ancient immortal and devil battlefield. They occupied the least material planes and were poor in resources. It was very difficult for them to survive. In the ancient immortal and devil battlefield, there were no sects or forces. Instead, there were some families and cultivation forces. Very few of these families were passed down from ancient times. They gradually grew through generations of fighting. Those weak families had no choice but to rely on those big families. They even had to change their surnames and become slaves of those big families. Due to the special environment, the weak were prey to the strong among human cultivators. The attack on Su Fang was not a big deal in the ancient immortal and devil battlefield. It was too common. In the ancient immortal and devil battlefield, there were countless treasures and inheritances from ancient times that were lost in the outer space. There were also many places where natural treasures that had long been lost in the immortal Tao world grew. Therefore, the ancient immortal and devil battlefield was an incomparably dangerous battlefield ruins. It was also a land of treasures that attracted many immortal Tao experts to the ancient immortal and devil battlefield to search for treasures. There were also many fugitives who could not establish a foothold in the immortal Tao world. They were hunted by immortal Tao forces and finally took refuge in the ancient immortal and devil battlefield. It was very difficult for foreign cultivators to survive in the ancient immortal and devil battlefield alone. They had no choice but to join some families and cultivation forces. When Qi Yanzi came to the ancient immortal and devil battlefield, he joined a medium-sized family and cultivation force of the human race. The material plane Su Fang was in was called the incineration blaze region. It was named after the magma that flooded the material plane. There were hundreds of families and forces in the incineration blaze region. Most of them focused on refining weapons. Their cultivation methods and divine abilities were also fire-based. The fair-skinned cultivator and the scarred cultivator were cultivators from a mid-tier cultivation force in the incineration flame region. Their strength was considered extraordinary in the primordial battlefield of the immortals and devils. Their cultivation bases were at the 5 Dao Saint Immortal Realm, and they were celestial lords. However, Su Fang could not obtain much useful information from the fair-skinned cultivator's memories. The ancient immortal and devil battlefield was just too big. The fair-skinned cultivator's strength was limited to the incineration blaze region. He did not know much about other planes. The chances of finding the whereabouts of the 10,000 manifestations Dharma in such a big ancient immortal and devil battlefield are too slim. Yu Miaomei had already determined that the magic treasure fragment that Qi Yanzi had obtained was a part of the 10,000 manifestations Dharma. She did not know why the 10,000 manifestations Dharma shattered and how many pieces it had broken into. It was easy to imagine how difficult it would be to find them. At this moment, Luo passed through the formation and arrived at Su Fang's cultivation room in the Cavern of Time. Luo said sheepishly, "Su Fang, I've implicated you this time." "Thank you." Su Fang smiled faintly. "The Blood River Lord has discovered some clues about the Origin Sacred Mirror. Even if it wasn't for you, he would definitely not let me go for the Divine Mirror. The Blood River Lord is determined to get me. You were lucky enough to escape from him and even injured him. With his vengeful personality, he would not let you go even if he had to search to the ends of the earth. He will come to the ancient immortal and devil battlefield sooner or later. Therefore, the danger has not been eliminated. You must be prepared." Su Fang thought for a while. Chapter 1735. The 54th Yang vein was extremely important to Su Fang. It was extremely difficult to form this Yang vein. 9 Truths 9 Suns, Chapter 1754. After the 9 Suns' 9 transformations reached the 5th transformation, it became extremely difficult to form a new Yang vein. Not only did it take longer to cultivate, but it also required vast amounts of Yang Qi. When Su Fang cultivated the 9 Suns' 9 transformations, he faintly felt that he was being rejected by the heavenly Tao after reaching the 5th transformation. This was because the 9 Suns' 9 transformations was too heaven-defying. It could even form a godhead. Naturally, it would be rejected by the heavenly Tao of the outside world. 9 Truths 9 Suns, Chapter 1754. Otherwise, with Su Fang's strength at that time, the heavenly Tao of the outside world would tremble under Su Fang's feet. It would not be able to shackle or restrain Su Fang. To form the 54th Yang vein, it would take a very long time. The opportunity and fortune required would also be extraordinary. It was not something that could be achieved by secluded cultivation. The Blood River Lord is a peerless expert of the Azura clan. Although the ancient immortal demon battlefield is huge, it would not be difficult for him to find me. Before the 9 Suns' 9 transformations reaches the 6th transformation and I have the absolute strength to kill the Blood River Lord's slaughter avatar, I cannot be discovered by the Blood River Lord. First, I will change my appearance and identity, conceal my aura, and try to gain a foothold in the ancient immortal demon battlefield. Then, I will try to find a fortuitous encounter. There are so many treasures in the ancient immortal demon battlefield. I don't believe that I can't find the fortune to form the 54th Yang vein. When my 54th Yang vein is formed, it will be the time for me to kill the Blood River Lord. As for Wanxiang Dharma, I can slowly search for it. It doesn't matter if I can't find it. Su Fang thought for a while and finally made a decision. After hearing Su Fang's plan, Law nodded and said, "In the face of absolute strength, temporarily enduring for a period of time is a good plan. As a peak expert of the outside world, you have to pretend to be a weakling during this period. I'm afraid that you will be humiliated and unable to endure. Once your strength is exposed, the Blood River Lord may find out and bring you a fatal disaster. I am originally a cultivator of a small world. What kind of humiliation have I not endured? I can make use of this experience to temper my Tao heart. It can be considered as a form of training. I am relieved that you think so. That's right. You're growing too fast, but it's not without its drawback. It's a good thing that you can settle down and cultivate. Thus, Su Fang settled down in the cavern of time and space, using the Yellow Springs Blood Sea to devour Forefather Tianming's body and recover his life force. The consumption of life force this time was too severe. In order to avoid leaving behind any sequelae, Su Fang stayed in the time cave for 300 years. During this time, Su Fang also separated himself from the Yang Immortal and communicated with Zhang Run. Zhang Ruyun was no longer the naive and shy girl from the small world. She did not hide her love for Su Fang, which gave Su Fang a headache. The big goblin subordinates and experts were also in a state of cultivation. Unfortunately, the Sky Sacred Ground was destroyed, and only the Sky Thunder Palace was left. The 10 rooms full of spirit chi and the spirit pool in the Sky Thunder Palace were temporarily useless. Fortunately, they had obtained Mother Yun's inheritance and countless resources. It was enough for Su Fang's subordinates to consume for a long time. Gui Gui was also crazily devouring the corpses of the 9 demonic beasts possessed by Ming Yen. Once all of them were devoured, Gui Gui would become Su Fang's most powerful and terrifying existence. Even the undead lord would not be a match for her. Su Fang's father, family Su Yaotian, as well as his friends and cultivators in the small world, all lived in the true dragon realm. Su Fang's blood clone accompanied his father. Whoosh, on this day, Su Fang's main body ended his cultivation. He left his blood clones in the Cave of Time to cultivate various cultivation techniques and abilities. His main body walked out of the cave. Seeing the immortal demon battlefield for the first time, Su Fang was deeply shocked. Then, Su Fang activated his great perfection ability to sense the power of the immortal demon battlefield. He found that the energy of heaven and earth here was chaotic and violent. It also had an ancient aura, which was very different from the other immortal domains in the great world. From the power of the immortal demon battlefield's power of the immortal demon battlefield, Su Fang also sensed a kind of power of nothingness and chaos. This was also something that the great world did not have. Not only was the energy of heaven and earth different, but even the sky looked very different. It was like a huge dome that covered the earth. 5 blood-red evil suns surrounded the divine sun and looked like they were within reach. Su Fang asked, "Luo, how was the immortal demon battlefield formed?" I'm not sure. I can only deduce some clues from the ancient books and legends passed down from ancient times," Luo said slowly. "Legend has it that a long time ago the universe was in chaos. Later, it was split into chaos by a supreme existence with a giant axe. The chaos gradually separated. The light and clear things slowly rose and became the sky. The heavy and turbid things slowly fell and became the earth. The light and clear things that were split out from the chaos formed countless planes. This is the divine world. The heavy and turbid things formed the small world and the great world. The great world and the small world were originally desolate worlds. Later, human cultivators were born. After countless generations of development, a cultivation civilization was established in the desolate world. Hearing Luo's description, Su Fang was shocked. Luo continued. The immortal demon battlefield of the immortal demon battlefield was a boundless square land formed at the beginning of the great world. This is the origin of the saying of the square sky and the square earth. Look at the end of the sky. Ascending to the end is where the heavens and the myriad worlds are. Since ancient times, countless cultivators of the great world have wanted to get rid of the shackles of the world, go to the end of the world, and ascend to the heavens and the myriad world. Su Fang looked at the dome, his eyes suddenly burst with a terrifying light, and infinite yearning grew in his heart. It won't be long before I go to the end of the sky and enter the heavens and the myriad worlds. In ancient times there were countless powerful existences on the earth, including the human race and many other races, divine beasts, spirit race, and countless wonderful existences. Later, the human race rose and became the ruler of the earth, while the other races gradually declined. However, the human race also split. It is said that the demon race split from the human race at that time, but the demon race did not admit that they were a part of the human race. In order to compete for control of the world, the human race and the demon race broke out into war again, and it has continued to the present. In the previous great immortal demon wars, countless powerful existences fell, countless races withered, and many cultivation civilizations were completely cut off. Many powerful races were forced to migrate to the myriad worlds and became the god race of the myriad world. Even the land formed when the world was created was shattered in the great wars and drifted to every corner of the great world. Now, most of the immortal domains and immortal realms were peeled off from the land formed when the world was created. The primordial immortal demon battlefield you see now is just a fragment of the original land, less than 1/1,000,000th of the original. Su Fang completely turned into a piece of wood. Su Fang, now you know how big the gap between your current strength and that of the ancient great beings is, right? Although you came to the primordial immortal demon battlefield this time, it is also a trial for you. With your luck, you will definitely be able to obtain great opportunities and fortunes in the primordial immortal demon battlefield. I understand, Law. Law's words made Su Fang's blood boil. Then, Su Fang activated his perfected body and changed his face and body, turning into a sturdy and ordinary-looking young man with a dark face. At the same time, he also activated the Heaven-Earth-Fire fusion technique, which was once Huayan Shinrikyo's #1 cultivation technique. The aura he exuded was completely of the fire element, and his cultivation was suppressed to the first Tao of Saint Immortal level. With such a cultivation level, he was not considered an expert in the primordial immortal demon battlefield, but he was definitely not weak either. With Su Fang's current high-level Tao realm strength, only a demigod expert would be able to see through his disguise if he changed his appearance and concealed his aura. As for those below the demigod realm, they would not be able to see through his disguise. As for the Blood River Lord, as long as he sensed Su Fang's aura, Su Fang's Heaven's Secret Life Contraction Technique and Heaven's Amplification Technique would react. Using the Heaven's Secret Life Contraction Technique to conceal his aura in advance, so there was nothing to worry about. If he bumped into the Blood River Lord and could not conceal his aura in time, Su Fang could only blame himself for being unlucky. Whoosh! Su Fang flew across the sky and arrived high in the sky. The shackles of the world here were twice as strong as those in the immortal domain where Su Fang was from. Moreover, the natural spiritual chi of heaven and earth was filled with a violent, austere, and desolate ancient aura. These were all side effects left over from the primordial immortal demon war. Under the influence of the evil sun, the death chi and evil chi of heaven and earth were more than 10 times stronger than those in the immortal domain. In such an environment, the cultivation environment was naturally extremely harsh. However, the cultivators who grew up in such an environment were much stronger than those in the immortal domain. Su Fang had just flown over 100 feet when his divine light suddenly flickered. His body swayed, and he teleported over 100 feet away. Chi! 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 Streaks of sharp sword chi shot out from the void, piercing through space like a sieve. If Su Fang hadn't sensed the abnormality in advance, these sword chi wouldn't have injured him, but he would have been in a sorry state. Chi! 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 So much time has passed, but the remnant sword chi is still so sharp. How terrifyingly powerful are these ancient almighties? Su Fang was shocked. He was on high alert. The ancient immortal demon battlefield was filled with danger. The slightest carelessness could bring about a disaster. Chi. Chapter 1736. Seeing the big goblin whizzing through the air, Su Fang frowned and landed on the ground. The primordial immortal demon battlefield was indeed full of danger. Even the most ordinary flight for cultivators was extremely dangerous. Su Fang had caught a glimpse in the sky just now. With his perfect eyesight, he could vaguely see cities and villages in the distance. Hence, he walked towards them. Brother Scarlet. Su Fang separated a young immortal and communicated with Scarlet Blaze Z. When Scarlet Blaze Z came to the primordial immortal demon battlefield, he had also joined a family force in the Incineration Blaze region. Scarlet Blaze Z had yet to recover from his injuries, so Su Fang had no intention of letting him out. Instead, he wanted to inquire about the situation in the Incineration Blaze region. Brother Scarlet, since the Incineration Blaze region's material continent is filled with magma and fire, there should be many natural treasures containing pure yang energy. Do you know where I can find them? What Su Fang was most concerned about was attacking the 54th Yang Meridian. After asking about the Incineration Blaze region, he immediately asked Scarlet Blaze Z about natural treasures. The Incineration Blaze region does have some natural treasures, including mystical flames. However, it's very difficult to find them in the Incineration Blaze region's plane. Unless it's an extremely dangerous extraterritorial space, one must have great luck to find it. It was during a treasure hunt that I obtained an exotic flame seed. Coupled with the inheritance of the primordial immortal venerable Shen Qi, my strength improved by leaps and bounds. Scarlet Blaze Z's answer disappointed Su Fang. It seemed that he had to leave the Incineration Blaze region and go to other planes in the primordial immortal demon battlefield to find opportunities to attack the 54th Yang Meridian. To his surprise, Qi Yanzi continued, "If we're talking about spiritual items that contain pure yang energy, then there is indeed such a treasure in the incineration domain. Not only in the immortal realm's immortal Tao, but even in the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons, it could be considered a unique divine item." Su Fang's spirits lifted. Scarlet Blaze Z's words clearly meant that it wasn't an ordinary natural treasure. The largest family force in the Incineration Blaze region is the Jiang clan, which has been passed down from the primordial immortal race to the present day. They control a sacred land called the Divine Mulberry Mountain. There's a divine tree on the Divine Mulberry Mountain called the Divine Mulberry Tree. Divine Mulberry Tree? Could it be the Fusang Tree? There's actually a legendary divine tree in the incineration domain of flames? Su Fangdao was taken aback, revealing an incredulous expression. Hibiscus wood. Legend has it that when the heavens and earth were first created, the divine sun was under the Fusang tree. How could such a divine object be preserved until now? Of course, the Divine Mulberry Tree of the Divine Mulberry Mountain is not the legendary Fusang tree from the sunrise. However, it is somewhat related to the Fusang tree. It is said that the Divine Mulberry Mountain is a substance in the sunrise, and the Divine Mulberry wood that the Jiang clan controls is a spiritual object transplanted by the Jiang clan's ancestors. Although it is not comparable to the real Fusang wood, it is still considered a supreme divine wood. The pure yang spirit object I speak of is not the Divine Mulberry wood, but a spirit object called the Golden Crow Silkworm that is bred from the leaves of the Divine Mulberry wood. After it matures, it is able to spit out the supreme yang energy of the world. The Golden Crow Silkworm is very famous among the human cultivators on the immortal demon battlefield. It's not hard to find. Golden Crow Silkworm, such a spirit object is exactly the pure yang treasure I want. Su Fang's eyes lit up. Brother Su, it will not be easy to obtain the Golden Crow Silkworm. The Jiang clan is a rare descendant of the ancient human race. They have the inherited secret technique to control the divine mulberry wood and breed the golden crow silkworm. Only the pure-blooded members of the Jiang clan can use it. Thus, even if an outsider steals the divine mulberry wood, it will be useless. Moreover, the Jiang clan is also supported by the immortal demon battlefield's overlord force. Every 100,000 years, only 3 golden crow silkworms can be bred. 2 of them are offered to the overlord force by the Jiang clan, leaving only 1 for themselves. This is also the reason why the Jiang clan has been able to survive until now. If you want to directly seize the golden crow silkworm, the overlord force behind the Jiang clan will definitely not sit idly by. It is said that every overlord force on the immortal demon battlefield has a supreme demigod expert. Qi Yanzi's words caused Su Fang to sink into contemplation. Su Fang was not surprised that the overlord forces on the immortal demon battlefield had a demigod expert. Otherwise, the human forces would have already been swallowed up by the resurrected experts. With his current strength, he naturally did not fear a demigod expert. The only troublesome thing was that if he tried to steal the golden crow silkworm, it would definitely cause a world-shaking commotion. As long as the Blood River Lord came to the immortal demon battlefield, it would attract his attention. At that time, he would not be as lucky as last time. The only way is to find a way to sneak into the divine Mulberry Mountain and steal the golden crow silkworm without anyone knowing. Su Fang could not think of a good idea at the moment, so he could only think of a way to steal it. Then, he asked Qi Yanzi about the Jiang clan. The Jiang clan was a mysterious and powerful ancient clan with an incomparably deep foundation. If he wanted to sneak into the Jiang clan and steal the golden crow silkworm without alerting anyone, it would not be an easy task. Qi Yanzi suddenly smiled and said, "Brother Su, if you want to obtain the golden crow silkworm, you can obtain it openly. There is no need to rob or steal. Every 1,000,000 years, the Jiang clan will hold 1,000 refinements assembly to select refining geniuses from the incineration blaze region. The genius that wins first place will receive a golden crow silkworm as long as he is willing to join the Jiang clan as a disciple with a different surname. I just calculated with my fingers that there should be only 200 years until the next 1,000 refinements assembly." "There's such a thing?" Su Fang was shocked and astonished. The golden crow silkworm is such a precious treasure, yet the Jiang clan is willing to use it as a reward. The reason was actually very simple. Although the Jiang clan was the overlord of the incineration blaze region, it was not much among the human forces on the immortal demon battlefield. The Jiang clan was able to become the overlord of the incineration blaze region because of the way of refining. However, the Jiang clan did not have many clansmen, so they had to continuously absorb refining geniuses from the outside world to join the Jiang clan. In order to maintain their position as the overlord, the Jiang clan did not hesitate to use a treasure like the golden crow silkworm to attract refining geniuses. It was not hard to understand. Anyway, the refining geniuses who received the reward would join the Jiang clan sooner or later. Qi Yanzi said, "Brother Su, back in the constellation of 9 heavens, you were a famous refining genius. With your current height, won't it be easy for you to win the 1,000 refinements assembly?" "I have abandoned refining for many years. It won't be easy to win the 1,000 refinements assembly." Su Fang shook his head and smiled. In the Star Palace, Su Fang was able to refine middle-grade doctrine weapons. After leaving the Star Palace, Su Fang rarely refined weapons. He had a large number of weapon refining masters under him, and there were countless doctrine weapons. Why would he need to refine weapons personally? Su Fang had never stopped cultivating and comprehending the refining experience and doctrine left by Emperor Tianbao. However, he mainly used it to assist in cultivating his physical body and the Tao Palace of Heaven and Earth. He used himself as a doctrine weapon to cultivate. In order to win the 1,000 refinements assembly, he had to at least refine an upper-grade doctrine weapon. In the true long world, there was no shortage of refining geniuses. However, if he wanted to win the 1,000 refinements assembly, he did not have much confidence. Su Fang had the 9 sun celestial fire and fire cloud emperor body. In addition, he had the purple cloud Dharma spirit and his comprehension of Emperor Tianbao's doctrine of refining and refining experience. If he cultivated in the time immortal abode for over 200 years, it would be equivalent to over 2,000 years. With so many unparalleled advantages in the way of equipment refinement, if Su Fang still could not win the first place in the Myriad Refinements Conference, he might as well kill himself. After ending the conversation with Qi Yanzi, Su Fang pondered again. If he wanted to participate in the Jiang clan's 1,000 refinements assembly, it would be best to join a clan in the incineration blaze region. If he suddenly appeared, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. With the Blood River Lord as an enemy, Su Fang had to be careful. About 10 days later, Su Fang came to a city. Compared to the bustling cultivation world outside, the city in the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons could only be described as desolate. Su Fang felt as if he had come to an ancient primitive tribe. A powerful defensive boundary was built outside the city to prevent Big Goblin or resurrected Big Goblin from appearing at any time. The buildings inside were also very simple. There were no shops at all. The transactions between cultivators were carried out directly at the stalls in the market. The cultivators here were not weak. Saint Immortal Realm cultivators were very common, and each of them had a profound aura and a valiant temperament. Su Fang estimated that in terms of strength, the cultivators here could easily defeat cultivators of the same level in the immortal region. This was also caused by the special environment of the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. Judging from the aura of the cultivators, most of the cultivation methods they cultivated were passed down from ancient times. Su Fang even saw many cultivators with perfect bodies. The cultivation of the physical body, which had long declined in the outside world, was still very popular here. Most of the cultivators here wore clothes made of beast skin. It was very rare to see someone wearing a Taoist robe like Su Fang. With one look, one could tell that they were cultivators from the immortal region who came to the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. They seemed out of place. Su Fang found a secluded place and changed into a set of beast skin clothes. Only then did he seem less conspicuous. His second primordial spirit had killed 2 local cultivators, so there was naturally no lack of clothes in their storage rings. Next, Su Fang asked around. It turned out that this city was called Ting City, and it was controlled by a cultivation force called the Ting Clan. The Ting Clan was a first-rate clan in the Incineration Flame region with a population of more than 10 million. There were more than 10 small clans under them, and they lived in Ting City and the surrounding cities and villages. In the market of Ting City, Su Fang saw some cultivators directly put a piece of beast skin on the ground and took out the items they wanted to sell or exchange. Su Fang also saw some cultivators, alchemists, and weapon refiners sitting cross-legged on the ground. They directly placed their flying swords in front of them, or drew pictures of pill cauldrons or weapon cauldrons in front of them. At first, Su Fang didn't understand what this meant. After asking, he found out that most of these people were rogue cultivators who hoped to be hired or chosen by a clan and directly join the clan. That's not a bad idea. I can join a certain family without attracting any attention. Chapter 1737. Su Fang had set up a stall in the market and was waiting to be recruited. Read? But, oh. Who knew 3 days had passed in a blink of an eye, and no one came to inquire about him. Not only did he look young, but his appearance was also very ordinary. His skin was dark, and there was nothing outstanding about him. If he was a weapon crafting apprentice or a sword slave, he would be more suitable. A weapon craftsman? Su Fang did not look like a weapon craftsman at all. Not only did he wait for 3 days in vain, but he was also charged 30 mediocre celestial stones. As it turned out, one had to pay celestial stones to set up a stall in the market. Not only did he fail to attract customers, but he also attracted many greedy gazes. Being able to set up a stall in the market was considered profitable. In the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons where people could kill and rob at any time, Su Fang naturally became the target of some people. No one dared to make a move in public in the market. However, no one would know once they left the market. A beautiful young woman with a cold and elegant temperament walked into the market with a 12 or 13-year-old boy. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Many gazes were focused on the young woman. Most of them were filled with greed and possessiveness. Su Fang was also surprised. Not only was the young woman beautiful, but her cultivation base was also at the peak of the 9th Dao Saint stage. She was extraordinary. However, the beautiful young woman was dressed in plain clothes. It was obvious she did not come from a large clan. The young woman seemed to be used to everyone's gazes, and did not notice it at all. On the other hand, the young man was infuriated by everyone's gazes, but there was nothing he could do. The young woman brought the young man around the market. It seemed like she was recruiting weapon craftsmen. She stopped in front of Su Fang's stall and looked at Su Fang for a while before she left. "Mother, this young cultivator looks like charcoal. It's ridiculous that he dares to, don't talk nonsense. This person has the cultivation base of a saint celestial, and his strength is extraordinary." Su Fang heard the conversation between the young man and the young woman clearly with his "will you hear me?" He was actually looked down upon by a youth. Su Fang smiled bitterly and planned to pack up his stall and leave. This method obviously wouldn't work. The young woman failed to recruit a suitable weapon refiner and was about to leave with the young man. At this time, a young cultivator in a silver robe, escorted by a group of burly men, arrived at the market. The noisy market suddenly quieted down. Everyone looked at the silver-robed cultivator with eyes full of respect. Clearly, this silver-robed cultivator had a great background. The young woman's divine light changed slightly. Just as she was about to leave the market, the silver-robed cultivator saw her and blocked her way. The silver-robed cultivator glanced at the young woman's chest and licked his lips. Then he laughed and said, "Madame Zhu wants to recruit blacksmiths?" He heard that Master Pring didn't want to work anymore, and the Zhu family's weapon refining training hall was about to close down. The Ting clan doesn't lack blacksmith. How about I introduce a few blacksmiths to Lady Zhu? Thank you for your kind intentions, young Master Ting. I have already recruited a blacksmith, so there is no need for young Master Ting to worry. Madame Zhu pulled away from the silver-robed cultivator and almost bumped into Su Fang, who was about to pack up his stall and leave. Young Master Ting said, "Who is the blacksmith that Madame Zhu recruited? Let me check for you so that you won't be deceived." Madame Zhu was very afraid of young Master Ting. Although she disliked him, she didn't dare to refuse him directly. When she saw him, her eyes lit up. "This is the blacksmith that the Zhu clan just recruited." Young Master Ting glanced at Su Fang with disdain. "Is this kid qualified to be called a blacksmith?" Su Fang raised his eyebrows and said indifferently, "I am the blacksmith that Madame Zhu just recruited. As for whether I am qualified to be called a blacksmith, it is up to Madame Zhu. Young Master Ting has no say." "Impudent! You dare to be rude to young Master Ting?" A burly man behind young Master Ting shouted coldly. He emitted a fierce murderous aura and looked as if he was about to kill Su Fang. "Forget it." Young Master Ting pretended to be elegant and waved his hand. He said to Madame Zhu, "If you want to find a blacksmith, you can find me anytime." "Thank you, young Master Ting." Madame Zhu hurriedly took her son and walked out of the market. Su Fang also followed her out embarrassedly. Looking at Su Fang's back, the people in the market whispered. The topic of discussion was that Su Fang, a foreign cultivator, was courting death by offending young Master Ting. Some people also said that Madame Zhu would become young Master Ting's plaything sooner or later. The Zhu clan's dojo and the entire Zhu clan would be annexed by the Ting clan. Young master, Ting City belongs to the Ting clan. You can have any woman you want. Why do you like this girl? Since young master wants this girl, why don't you just capture her? A burly man asked in confusion. Young master Ting inexplicably snorted. What do you know? Go investigate the background of that black-faced kid. There's no need to investigate. Just kill him. It's not good to kill him in Ting City's market, but once you leave the market, wouldn't it be as easy for me to kill you as an ant? After Su Fang followed the mother and son out of the market, Madame Zhu took out a middle-grade immortal stone. Thank you for helping me and my son. This is a small token of my appreciation. Please accept it. Su Fang only smiled faintly. Madame Zhu thought that Su Fang thought it was too little, and took out 2 middle-grade immortal stones. Unexpectedly, Su Fang shook his head and said, Since Madame Zhu recruited me, how can you dismiss me so quickly? Madame Zhu was stunned. The youth said angrily, You don't know what's good for you. How dare you rely on my mother? Su Fang smiled embarrassedly. Madame Zhu used me as a shield. You want to dismiss me with merely 3 middle-grade immortal stones? Isn't that too cheap? Since Madame Zhu said that she recruited me, then I am now the tool refiner of the Zhu clan. Naturally, Madame Zhu has to support me. You scoundrel! The youth flew into a rage and released a wave of fire elemental godly might. This youth was not old, but his cultivation had already reached the peak of the 9th heavenly immortal realm. This made Su Fang very surprised. Moreover, his fire elemental godly might carried an ancient aura. It was obvious that he had cultivated a pure and powerful fire elemental divine ability. Yen don't be rude. Madame Zhu quickly stopped the youth. Although the Zhu clan has declined, it is still easy to support a person. You just helped us out, so it is not a big deal for the Zhu clan to support you for a while. However, our Zhu clan is still a large clan that has been passed down since ancient times. Although we have declined, we still have some connections with some ancient clans. Although we are now dependent on the Ting clan, even the Ting clan does not dare to forcefully swallow our Zhu clan. Before you have any evil thoughts, you should think carefully. If you have any other thoughts, don't blame me for being impolite. Madame Zhu continued with a domineering aura. The young man glared fiercely at Su Fang. Charcoal, it's one thing for you to be a freeloader in the Zhu family, but if you dare to be like those bad guys and have designs on my mother, see how I'll deal with you. Charcoal? Pervert? Ha ha. A burst of laughter came from the blood jade. Su Fang, you never dreamed that you would be treated as a pervert one day, right? Su Fang helplessly touched the tip of his nose. Just like that, Su Fang became the blacksmith of the Zhu clan. No, it should be said that he was a freeloader. The Zhu clan was also a powerful clan in the ancient times. They were especially famous for their fire elemental divine ability. There were still records in the ancient books of the Great World. In the ancient times, the Zhu clan had an almighty called Zhu Rong. He was extremely powerful and was respected as the god of fire. Now, the Zhu clan had declined greatly. There were only about 10,000 people left, and they did not even have a single immortal venerable expert. They had no choice but to rely on the Ting clan. The clan leader of the Zhu clan unfortunately died 1,000 years ago. Now, the clan was under the control of the strongest Madame Zhu. The youth was called Zhu Yan, and he was the young clan leader of the Zhu clan. The Zhu clan was proficient in fire elemental divine ability, so they were also proficient in the art of blacksmithing. The blacksmithing dojo of the Zhu clan was quite famous in the Burning Domain. Because of this, it attracted the attention of many clans, especially the Ting clan. Because of this, young Master Ting tried to get Madame Zhu. This way, he would be able to control the Zhu clan. The village of the Zhu clan was 200 to 300 li away from Ting City. Because of the powerful Big Goblin and the resurrected Big Goblin in the sky, as well as the various chaotic forces left behind by the great war of the immortals and demons, Saint Immortals did not dare to fly in the sky. Su Fang and Madame Zhu could only walk. Because there were no barriers or world barriers in the wilderness, they could face all kinds of dangers at any time. Therefore, the three of them walked very carefully. Whoosh! A resurrected big goblin with a wingspan of over 500 zhang circled in the sky and then dove down. It carried a monstrous and ferocious chi of death that covered the entire area. Its strength had reached the level of the 9th Dao Saint Immortal Realm. It's the corpse-refined puppet of the Ting clan, Lian Xiao. The expression on Zhu Yan's face changed as he panicked. Humph, this young Master Ting is really vengeful. Madame Zhu's eyes emitted coldness. Su Fang was astonished. It's a corpse-refined puppet? I didn't expect the corpse-refined sect of the ancient evil Dao to still have a legacy in the ancient battlefield of the immortals and demons. Then, Su Fang said, that young Master Ting loves Madame Zhu, so he naturally won't hurt Madame Zhu. Since he sent out this Lian Xiao, it's obvious that he is targeting me. Madame Zhu, please leave with the young clan leader. You are now a blacksmith recruited by the Zhu clan. How can we not care about your life? Madame Zhu shouted coldly. After forming a hand seal, a fire elemental godly might burst out. Like lava, the godly might swept towards the Lian Xiao. Boom, boom, boom. The Lian Xiao's strength was extremely shocking. Not only did it have sharp claws that could tear the void, but it could also use primordial spirit attacks to affect the primordial spirit consciousness of cultivators. Although Madame Zhu's strength was not bad, she was still not a match for the Lian Xiao. Gradually, she was at a disadvantage. Take Yen and leave first. I will stall this Lian Xiao. Madame Zhu said hastily. This woman is not a simple person. No wonder she can control the Zhu clan. Su Fang thought to himself. Madam, I will save you. Chapter 1738. Qi. Jiu Zhen Jiu Yang. Chapter 1757. Su Fang controlled a peak upper-grade flying sword and shot it towards Lian Xiao. The flying sword hit Lian Xiao's chest. With a loud clang, it did not even break through his skin, let alone cause much damage to him. Why aren't you taking Yen and leaving? If you stay here, you will only cause more trouble for me. Madame Zhu was furious. How was this helping? It was clearly more of a hindrance. Who knew? Boom! The high-class flying sword exploded. The broken pieces of the sword and the sword air hit Lian Zhao's body. It blew a big hole in Lian Zhao's chest. Qi. Qi. More than 10 sword lights were shot out in succession, all of which were at the peak of the high grade. Qi. 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 The flying swords exploded at the same time. Although Lian Zhao's body had been refined with a special secret technique and was extremely strong, it could not withstand the power of so many flying swords exploding at the same time. Lian Zhao's body was instantly covered with wounds. There was also a flying sword. After the explosion, it unexpectedly shot into Lian Zhao's head, destroying the array formation and immortal stone in his head. The corpse-refining puppet relied on the power of the array and the immortal stone to be powerful. This Lian Xiao was different from Su Fang's corpse-refining puppet. The array and the immortal stone were sealed in his head. Now that they were destroyed by the explosion of the flying sword, the huge Lian Xiao became a corpse and fell to the ground. An extremely powerful Lian Xiao was killed just like that? Young Zhu Yan was dumbstruck. Madame Zhu also looked at Su Fang in disbelief. Chapter 1757. 9 Truths and 9 Sons. In the ancient battlefield of the immortals and demons, peak upper-grade flying swords were expensive. Although the Zhu family had declined, they still had a certain amount of resources. They could still take out a dozen peak upper-grade flying swords. However, they could not explode all of them like Su Fang did. Those were peak upper-grade flying swords. How could Su Fang treat them as a one-time use talisman? How much did he have to squander to do that? Su Fang smiled embarrassedly and said, I'm a refiner. I don't have anything else, But I have a lot of magic weapons. Just now, in order to save my life, I only exploded some useless flying sword. Madame Zhu was speechless for a while. Only now did she realize that she had misjudged Su Fang. Although Su Fang's strength was ordinary, and she didn't know how good his refining skills were, she could at least confirm that he was rich. Therefore, Madame Zhu speculated that Su Fang was most likely a lecherous person like young Master Ting. Su Fang must have tried his best to enter the Zhu clan in order to get close to her. Zhu Yan muttered softly, "Wastrel. Let's go." One of young Master Ting's refined owls was killed. He will definitely not let the matter rest. Let's hurry back to the Zhu clan. Madame Zhu waved her hand and led Zhu Yan and Su Fang to the village where the Zhu clan lived. On the way, a voice came from within Law's body and mocked Su Fang. "There are so many clans and forces in the Inferno domain, yet you chose such a beautiful young woman. Su Fang, you have revealed your true nature, haven't you? I didn't expect this, I really didn't expect this. I finally understand now. You don't like young girls, but married young women. Hee this taste." Su Fang unreservedly activated the godly might of his magic weapon and sealed Law's room in the Cavern of Time. After that, they didn't encounter any trouble, and Su Fang smoothly arrived at the Zhu clan. The village where the Zhu clan lived was built in a valley. The houses were very simple and crude, and there was a simple defensive barrier around them. The clansmen lived in the valley. The valley was very hot and scorching. It was obvious that there was magma underground. In the mountains there was a refinement hall built with the help of the magma. It was the foundation of the Zhu clan's survival. When they arrived at the entrance, an elder from the Zhu clan hurried over. "Madam, young master, something bad has happened. We promised to deliver 1,000 middle-grade flying swords to the Merchant Association, but because we didn't deliver them on time, the Merchant Association has come to rush us. If we don't deliver them today, we will have to pay 3 times the compensation and will no longer accept flying swords from the Zhu clan." "Didn't Master Peng already make those 1,000 flying swords?" Madame Zhu raised her eyebrows and said in surprise. The Zhu clan relied on refinement for a living. If their relationship with the Merchant Association was strained, they wouldn't even be able to feed themselves. The Zhu clan used to have many great refiners, but when the world changed 1,000 years ago, the Zhu clan was attacked by a revived being and the Big Goblin. One of the peerless beings that came back from the magma came out of the hall and killed more than 10 refiners, including the clan leader. As a result, the Zhu clan, which specialized in fire god art, couldn't even find a decent refiner. They could only recruit refiners from other clans, and the entire Zhu clan declined. The Zhu clan elder said, "Master Peng only made the sword body Dao Palace before, but he didn't complete the refinement. He used this chance to make things difficult for us and asked for our inherited fire god art. He's gone too far." Zhu Yan's eyes were burning with anger. "I'll go beg Master Peng again." Madame Zhu was indeed the leader of the Zhu clan. She could still keep her composure at a time like this and hurried to the hall. "The Zhu clan seems to be in a bad situation. I've chosen to join the Zhu clan and participate in the refinement meeting as a refiner of the Zhu clan. Have I chosen the wrong force?" Su Fang touched the tip of his nose and followed Madame Zhu. "Who are you?" The Zhu clan's artifact refining training hall is an important place of the Zhu clan. "How can you enter as you please?" The old man stopped Su Fang at the entrance of the training hall. Su Fang said, "I'm the refiner that Madame Zhu just recruited. How can I stay out of this when the hall is in trouble?" "Madame Zhu recruited a refiner?" The Zhu clan elder looked at Su Fang suspiciously. He couldn't believe it. "Let him come." Madame Zhu waved her hand and signaled the elder to let him pass. Following the path opened up in the mountain, they arrived at a huge cave in the mountain. Magma flowed slowly around the cave. The Zhu clan's hall used the fire elemental energy in the magma to refine weapons. More than a dozen cauldrons stood in the cave. The flames in the cauldrons roared and filled the cave with shocking flames. Cultivators below the arcane, immortal realm had to circulate their true chi to defend themselves. In front of a cauldron in the center, a red-haired elder sat cross-legged on the ground with his eyes closed. He had an arrogant look on his face. He should be Master Peng, who abandoned his job at the critical moment. Su Fang sensed faint great fertility purple chi from him. Apparently, he had been refining for a long time and was contaminated with the great fertility purple chi produced when magic weapons were born. Beside him, a dozen Zhu tribesmen were begging for mercy, but the old man remained unmoved. Madame Zhu went up and pleaded, "Master Peng, these flying swords are very important to the Zhu clan. Please complete the refinement as soon as possible. I'll thank you on behalf of the entire Zhu clan." Master Peng's eyes were still closed. He said indifferently, "Study the Zhu clan's inherited ability for half a year. The 1,000 flying swords can be delivered tomorrow." Madame Zhu held back her anger and said, "The Zhu clan's fire elemental ability was passed down from the ancient times. Non-members of the Zhu clan can't cultivate it. Master Peng's request is too much." Master Peng chuckled and didn't say anything else. Madame Zhu and the Zhu clan members were very anxious, but there was nothing they could do. Master Peng was very famous in the incineration domain and could be considered a first-rate refiner. The Zhu clan was in dire straits and didn't dare to offend him. They could only beg. Master Peng was obviously determined to get the Zhu clan's fire elemental ability. This time, he grasped the Zhu clan's weakness. No matter how the Zhu clan members begged, he didn't budge. Suddenly Su Fang said, "Butcher Zhang is dead. Do we have to eat a pig with fur? Madame Zhu, since you've recruited me as your refiner, why don't you ask me for help?" "You?" Swoosh. Swoosh. Everyone looked at Su Fang. Even Master Peng suddenly opened his eyes. When they saw Su Fang's appearance and age, the Zhu clan members were disappointed. Master Peng snorted in disdain and closed his eyes again. Su Fang's appearance was secondary. The key was his age. Other than the genius refiners who were as brilliant as the stars, it was already quite impressive for someone of Su Fang's age to be able to memorize all the refining materials, learn how to polish them, and master some hand gestures to control flames. Refining? Moreover, he had refined so many middle-grade Dao tools. This was simply a joke. "Let me try. Maybe I can succeed." Su Fang smiled faintly and walked to a cauldron. "Madame Zhu, this kid doesn't know how to refine. If he destroys a cauldron's flying swords, I won't be responsible." Master Peng sneered with disdain. The Zhu clan members all came forward to stop Su Fang. Madame Zhu gritted her teeth and said, "Let him try." The Zhu clan couldn't hand over their heritage and let Master Peng do it. Instead of waiting for death, they might as well give it a shot. Madame Zhu also had a feeling that this black-faced youth was unusual, but she couldn't tell what it was. At this moment, Su Fang released a fire elemental aura. With the help of the fire elemental aura, Su Fang could see the situation in the cauldron clearly. There were rudimentary flying swords in the cauldron. They were only one step away from being refined into flying sword. However, this last step was the most crucial. If there was a mistake, everything would be in vain. This is only the last step. It can't be any simpler. Shocking fire elemental aura surged out of Su Fang's body and merged with the flames in the cauldron. Su Fang had the most domineering and pure 9 suns, immortal fire in the great world. In addition, he had matured the Fire Cloud Emperor physique. His control of fire was unmatched in the great world. What was a mere cauldron's flame? He could even use the Fire Cloud Emperor physique to refine weapons with his palms. Chapter 1739. About an hour later, Jiuzhen Zhiyang Chapter 1758. Su Fang suddenly formed a hand seal and released a divine aura. He reached out and grabbed the cauldron. Chi. Su Fang grabbed a flaming sword from the cauldron. Su Fang waved his hand and splashed the spirit liquid on the flaming sword. After a burst of chi-chi sound, a white smoke with a faint mysterious glow rose into the air. The flames on the sword quickly extinguished, and a flying sword appeared in everyone's sight. Success! How old is this person to be able to successfully forge an embryonic flying sword in just 2 hours? The Zhu clan members in the cave were in an uproar. This kid has some skill. Master Peng stared at the flying sword with surprise in his eyes. Whoosh! Under the control of Su Fang's divine aura, the flying sword flew to Madame Zhu and quietly floated in front of her. Madame Zhu, please inspect this flying sword. It should meet the standards for delivery to the Chamber of Commerce, right? Su Fang said faintly. Madame Zhu finally recovered from her surprise and grabbed the flying sword to inspect it. She was surprised to find that the quality of this flying sword was even higher than the mid-grade flying swords Master Peng usually made. It was at the limit of mid-grade magic treasures. Madame Zhu was pleasantly surprised. It's enough. I really didn't expect, you really are a blacksmith. What a joke. Su Fang's 9 celestial fire of the 9 suns was a powerful flame. How could a flying sword be of low quality after being refined by it? With such a powerful flame, Su Fang's refining speed was naturally unparalleled. Master Peng snorted disdainfully. This flying sword was originally refined by this old man and was left in the cauldron to be nourished by the flames. This kid actually took it out and claimed it as his own work. How shameless! If you have the ability, why don't you try to forge another flying sword? Master Peng calculated that with Su Fang's age, he must have used up a lot of energy to refine the embryonic flying sword into a flying sword. It must have reached the limit of what he could bear. That was why Master Peng said that. Not only did he want to take all the credit, but he also put Su Fang in a checkmate. Jiuzhen Jiang 1758 chapter. The Zhu clan members immediately believed Master Peng's words and looked at Su Fang with questioning eyes. After all, Su Fang was too young. With his honest and tanned appearance, it was really hard to believe that he could refine a mid-grade flying sword. Even if he could complete the last step of the flying sword, it was still very unlikely. Even Madame Zhu revealed an uncertain expression. Shall I try again? Su Fang released another streak of 9 suns' immortal fire. At the same time, he used the power of fire to control the flames in the cauldron. Soon, he pulled out another flying sword. After sprinkling spirit liquid on it, the flying sword appeared again with a white mist and multicolored light. Master Peng, did you refine this in advance? Su Fang looked at Master Peng with an honest look. There was no trace of mockery in his eyes. That's right. This flying sword was also refined by this old man. Master Peng's face was hot and he was shocked, but he still said decisively, "Chi chi chi." Su Fang activated his fire elemental divine power. After another 2 hours, a dozen flying swords flew out of the cauldron at the same time. After sprinkling the spirit liquid, the flying swords appeared again. Su Fang asked again, "These flying swords must have been refined by Master Peng in advance, right?" "Yes, that's right." Master Peng gritted his teeth. He didn't believe that Su Fang had the ability to continue releasing his fire elemental divine power. Su Fang controlled his fire elemental divine power again and merged it perfectly with the cauldron. Then, he released his fire elemental divine power and burned it. Chi chi chi. Su Fangdao waved his hand and the remaining 80 burning swords flew out of the cauldron. Pooh! This time, Su Fang activated his water elemental ability and sprinkled the spirit liquid evenly on the swords. Chi chi chi. A burst of white mist rose and dissipated. The 80 flying swords floated there and emitted rays of light that gathered together to form a dazzling brilliance. But in Master Peng's eyes it was dazzling. Su Fang asked, "Master Peng, did you refine all of these swords in advance?" Shwa. Master Peng's old face turned red in an instant, as if Su Fang had slapped him several times. His old face was smashed. No matter how thick-skinned he could not continue to pretend anymore. The Zhu clan members looked at Su Fong in a daze. Their eyes were lifeless and they were like pieces of wood. After a strong shock, Madame Zhu's heart surged with indescribable joy. "We've found a treasure! The Zhu clan has found a rare treasure this time. So the Zhu clan has invited an expert to come and slap this old man's face. We'll meet again someday. Let's wait and see." Master Ping fiercely glanced at Su Fong and then walked out of the training hall without looking back. Shwa shwa shwa. The Zhu clan members in the cave all focused their gazes on Su Fong. Their eyes were filled with shock and awe. At the same time, these clansmen prostrated themselves in admiration of Madame Zhu. It was because of Master Peng's exorbitant demand for the Zhu clan's fire elemental divine power that Madame Zhu personally brought the young clan leader to the Ting City market to recruit a blacksmith. She didn't expect that she would recruit such a powerful blacksmith. Even some of the Zhu clan members who weren't convinced of Madame Zhu's abilities couldn't help but admire her ability. Su Fong sat cross-legged in front of the cauldron and closed his eyes to recover. He had indeed used up a lot of Nine Suns immortal fire when he was refining, but with his current cultivation, this amount of consumption was nothing. Moreover, Su Fong's Nine Suns immortal fire was a tyrannical flame that surpassed all the primordial fires in the cauldron. He only needed a little bit of Nine Suns immortal fire to control all the primordial fires in the cauldron. It would be very easy for him to refine all the remaining rudimentary flying swords in one go. However, what he did just now was already shocking enough. If he could refine all 1,000 rudimentary flying swords in one go, it would be too shocking. Madame Zhu waved her hand at the Zhu clan members, and they immediately left the training hall. Madame Zhu stood to the side and quietly waited for Su Fong to recover. After waiting for nearly 4 hours, Su Fong slowly opened his eyes. Madame Zhu said, "May I ask this great master's name? Which blacksmith clan do you come from?" Su Fong helplessly rubbed the tip of his nose. Only now did she remember to ask for his name. It seemed that Madame Zhu really did think of Su Fong as a freeloader and didn't take him to heart. "My name is Fong Yu. I don't come from a blacksmith clan, but from the immortal domain outside of the primordial immortal demon battlefield." Su Fong once again used the pseudonym he used in the small world. As for his identity as a foreign cultivator, there was no need to hide it. His aura didn't contain the aura of the primordial immortal demon battlefield's world origin. True experts could tell at a glance that he was a foreign cultivator. The primordial immortal demon battlefield and the immortal domain were separated by countless difficulties and dangers. However, there were still many cultivators who came to the primordial immortal demon battlefield in search of treasures. Therefore, his identity as a foreign cultivator wasn't suspicious at all. "So Great Master Fong is from the immortal domain. May I know why Great Master Fong came to my Zhu clan? Please tell me in advance so that there won't be any misunderstandings in the future." Madame Zhu's gaze suddenly turned sharp, as if she wanted to see through Su Fong. This woman was indeed very shrewd to be able to control the Zhu clan. She could tell at a glance that Su Fong came to the Zhu clan with ulterior motive. Su Fong's divine light swept over Madame Zhu. He smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, Madame Zhu. I didn't come to the Zhu clan's blacksmith training ground for your beauty, nor did I come for the Zhu clan's inherited fire ability." Madame Zhu's face turned slightly red, her eyes filled with shame and anger. She continued to ask, "Then why did Great Master Fong come?" Su Fong said bluntly, "The Myriad Refinements Conference." "The Myriad Refinements Conference?" Madame Zhu was startled. "According to the information I heard in the market, to participate in the Jiang clan's Myriad Refinements Conference, one must be recommended by a blacksmith training ground of a clan from the Burning Flame domain to qualify for the preliminary round. I want the Zhu clan's blacksmith training ground spot." She then shook her head and said, Although the Zhu clan's blacksmith training ground has declined, they do have a spot for the preliminary round of the Myriad Refinements Conference. However, Great Master Fong, you look young and have such skill in blacksmithing. You can be called a blacksmith genius. If you want to participate in the Myriad Refinements Conference, I'm afraid your skill is not enough. Su Fong said faintly, Madame Zhu doesn't need to worry about this. I only want the Zhu clan's spot. In return, I will blacksmith for the Zhu clan for 200 years without any compensation. Madame Zhu thought for a while and nodded. Deal. Next, Su Fong used 10 days to refine all the flying sword prototypes that Great Master Ping had already refined into flying sword. After being refined by Su Fong's 9-sun immortal fire, the quality of these 1,000 flying swords was much higher than before. Not only did the Chamber of Commerce not pursue the matter of the Zhu clan's late delivery, they signed an even bigger order with the Zhu clan. Just like this, the Zhu clan's great crisis was resolved with Su Fong's arrival. Su Fong became the Zhu clan's blacksmith master. He had a high status in the Zhu clan and was deeply respected. In order to win the Myriad Refinements Conference and obtain the Golden Crow Silkworm, Su Fong began to practice blacksmithing like crazy. In terms of blacksmithing, Su Fong had innate conditions that no blacksmith genius could match. He had previously cultivated and comprehended the great Tao of blacksmithing of the Heavenly Treasure Emperor. He also had the blacksmithing experience left behind by the Heavenly Treasure Emperor. In addition, he had the guidance of the Dead King, the top blacksmith of the Great World, and the blacksmithing experts of the True Dragon Realm's blacksmith training ground. Su Fong also didn't lack high-grade cauldrons. The Heavenly Dipper Creation Cauldron was the #1 cauldron used by the Yellow Spring Emperor to refine magic treasures. Its quality had reached the level of a king-grade Tao artifact, and it was a rare treasure cauldron in the Great World. In addition, Su Fong had the Cave of Time, which allowed him to have a lot of time to practice blacksmithing. With so many advantages, it was impossible for Su Fong's blacksmithing skills to slow down. Chapter 1740. Su Fong spent a portion of his time refining weapons for the Zhu clan every day. Thankfully, the weapons the Zhu clan sold to the Merchant Guild were all mid-grade flying swords. With Su Fong's current skill, it was more than enough to deal with them. 9 Truths and 9 Sons. Chapter 1759. For the rest of his time, Su Fong cultivated in the Cave of Time. He had transformed a room in the Cave of Time into a small dojo for refining weapons. Apart from leaving his blood clone to practice various cultivation methods and combat arts, he spent most of his energy on refining weapons. Along with the passage of time, Su Fong's artifact refining standard rose at an astonishing speed. After repeated practice, Su Fong's understanding of Emperor Tianbao's great Tao of refining and cultivation in his own world gradually deepened. The Zhu clan's armament training hall had a long history and had a large amount of great pregnant purple gas. Although it was not very useful to the purple gas Dharma spirit, Su Fong did not let it go. No matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. Every little bit counted. Su Fong didn't neglect his cultivation while refining weapons. After Forefather Tianming's body had been completely devoured by Su Fong, his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Not only had he stabilized at the high level of the Tao realm, but he was also gradually ascending to the peak of the Tao realm. His cultivation speed was absolutely terrifying. At the same time, Su Fong often left the dojo to find a secluded place to absorb sunlight with the Origin Sacred Mirror and convert it into red Origin Qi. In the battlefield of immortals and demons, the mirror had absorbed even more Origin Qi from the sunlight and converted it into yang energy. Su Fong cultivated the 9 Suns' 9 transformations with the help of the vast yang pill and various other spiritual items, constantly attacking the 54th yang meridian. As Su Fong had predicted, the birth of the yang meridian was extremely difficult. The accumulation of yang energy had reached a state of saturation, but the yang meridian still showed no signs of birth. It still lacked an opportunity. On the contrary, the dragon bird, in the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace, swallowed the pure yang aura of the Su Fang, as well as the primordial spirit qi transformed by the treasure mirror, transforming at an astonishing speed. 9 True 9 Sons Chapter 1759. Gui Gui had completely devoured the 9 demonic beasts that Ming Yen had possessed. He was currently in a deep slumber. When he woke up, he would be a terrifying monster that would make even demigods tremble in fear. Bai Ling and Green Feather Monarch were also close to breaking through to Demon Sage. Su Fang decided to let them break through to Demon Sage when he found a suitable place. About 20 years passed. In reality, 200 years had passed in the cave abode of time. Su Fang, who was sitting cross-legged in front of the heavenly creation cauldron, suddenly opened his eyes. Then, he grabbed a burning sword from the cauldron and poured a sizzling spiritual liquid onto the sword. A sharp sword light suddenly appeared, causing the entire time immortal cave to be filled with astonishing sword qi. When the multicolored light and white fog dissipated, a flying sword appeared in front of Su Fang. Judging from the aura of the magic treasure, it was a high-grade flying sword. The value of a high-grade flying sword was nothing to Su Fang. Su Fang didn't even care about a peak supreme-grade magic treasure. However, this was Su Fang's first high-grade Dao weapon after all. Naturally, he was very happy. If I want to take first place in the Jiang clan's 1000 Refinements Conference, obtain the Golden Crow Silkworm, and forge a high-grade Dao weapon, it's clearly far from enough. Even if I forge a supreme-grade Dao weapon, I might not be able to guarantee first place. Only by forging a peak supreme-grade Dao weapon can I be considered a sure bet. Su Fang's ambition was extraordinarily great. He had just forged a high-grade Dao weapon, and now he had set his sights on a peak supreme-grade Dao weapon. However, Su Fang had the strength and confidence to do so. Grandmaster Fang. Madame Zhu's voice came from outside the training hall. What's the matter? Since Su Fang was preparing to forge a high-grade Dao weapon, the Zhu clan's weapon forging hall was temporarily closed to avoid distraction. In the past 20 years, the quality of the Dao weapons forged by the weapon forging hall was much higher than before because of Su Fang. Thus, the Chamber of Commerce had a steady flow of orders. Not only did the Zhu clan escape the crisis of survival, but it also improved. Therefore, Madame Zhu respected Su Fang even more. At this time, Madame Zhu suddenly came to interrupt Su Fang's seclusion. There must be something important. Madame Zhu responded. Young Master Ting and Master Gu of the Ting clan came to the Zhu clan. They invited Grandmaster Fang to meet them. Young Master Ting? What is he doing here? Su Fang thought of the last time he was chased by Lian Xiao of the Ting clan. However, Su Fang's mood didn't change. With his current strength, he couldn't sweep the entire immortal demon battlefield. Eliminating the Ting clan, which had a population of less than 10 million, was as easy as flipping his hand. He just didn't want to make a big fuss over an ant like young Master Ting. He didn't expect young Master Ting to take the initiative to come and ask Su Fang to meet him. Obviously, it wasn't something good. Su Fang didn't care about an ant like young Master Ting, but it didn't mean that he would let an ant bare its fangs and brandish its claws in front of him. If young Master Ting was really reckless, then he could only fulfill his wish. Madame Zhu's voice was grave as she said, "Although I don't know the purpose of young Master Ting's visit, I'm sure he doesn't have good intentions. Master Gu, who came with young Master Ting, is a blacksmith of the Ting clan. He is a disciple of the same blacksmith as Master Peng, so they have a good relationship. Master Peng also came with young Master Ting and asked to meet you. I'll be there soon." Su Fang came out of the Cavern of Time and walked out of the weapon forging hall. On the way, Su Fang suddenly asked, "What is the status of this young Master Ting in the Ting clan?" There are many clansmen in the Ting clan, and there are more than 100 clansmen who hold the title of young master. Except for those who have extraordinary talent in cultivation or blacksmithing, the other young masters don't have high statuses. This young master Ting's name is Ting Chu. He has extraordinary talent in cultivation, so his status in the Ting clan is extraordinary. He is the strongest competitor for the position of young master of the Ting clan. Madame Zhu was startled for a moment, then she answered truthfully. So this young master Ting isn't an idiot. Su Fang smiled faintly and didn't say anything else. Madame Zhu warned, Master Fang, please restrain yourself in front of young Master Ting. The Zhu clan can't afford to offend this person. If Master Fang offends him, it will be difficult for you to establish yourself in the incineration domain, let alone participate in the Myriad Refinements Conference. Thank you for your reminder, Madame Zhu. Su Fang raised the corner of his mouth, and a trace of disdain and ridicule flashed in his deep eyes. Madame Zhu brought Su Fang to a stone palace. In the stone palace, in addition to young Master Ting and Master Peng, there was an old man with the aura of a great artifact and the great pregnant purple qi. Obviously, he was a very powerful blacksmith. This old man should be the blacksmith of the Ting clan, Master Gu. Behind young Master Ting stood a middle-aged cultivator with a curly beard. His strength was extraordinary, and he had reached the initial stage of the Tao realm. Whether it was in the immortal realm or the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons, Tao realm immortal venerables were absolute experts. In the Ting clan, immortal venerables were the top experts. As soon as Su Fang entered the palace, he felt young Master Ting's gaze on him, which contained a murderous intent. However, the murderous intent wasn't fierce. Obviously, in young Master Ting's eyes, Su Fang was just a weakling that could be killed casually. He wasn't worth paying attention to at all. Before Su Fang sat down, Master Peng sneered eerily, Outsider, young Master Ting came to the Zhu clan to tell you that young Master Ting wants the Zhu clan's spot to participate in the preliminaries of the Myriad Refinements Conference. Su Fang raised his eyebrows and asked indifferently, What right does young Master Ting have to take away the spot that belongs to me? Master Peng sneered disdainfully, Young Master Ting can take away your life, let alone your spot. What reason does he need? Madame Zhu hurriedly said, Young Master Ting, this spot was given to the Zhu clan by the Jiang clan. How can you take it away so easily? Ting Chu said coldly, The Zhu clan has declined. What right does it have to participate in the Myriad Refinements Conference? Even if I take away the Zhu clan's blacksmith training hall, the Jiang clan won't say anything. Madame Zhu suppressed her anger and said, Young Master Ting, this spot is useless. Please be magnanimous. At this moment, Master Gu said majestically, Young Master Ting asked for this spot for my disciple. How can it be useless for him to go and gain experience? Glancing at Su Fang, Master Gu showed a disdainful expression and said, Who does he think he is to be qualified to participate in the Myriad Refinements Conference? The Zhu clan is a vassal clan of the Ting clan. This person will represent the Zhu clan in the Myriad Refinements Conference. Not only will he embarrass the Zhu clan, but he will also damage the Ting clan's reputation. Young Master Ting looked at Su Fang indifferently. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes. As long as Su Fang showed any dissatisfaction, he would kill him for offending the young master of the Ting clan. Of course, young Master Ting didn't come to the Zhu clan to kill Su Fang. If it weren't for Master Gu's appearance and the fact that a refined owl had died because of Su Fang, young Master Ting wouldn't even remember the existence of Su Fang. His purpose was to kill Su Fang to intimidate Madame Zhu and cut off the Zhu clan's source of income. This way, he would be able to control the Zhu clan and then annex the Zhu clan. The bearded man behind young Master Ting stared coldly at Su Fang, looking as if he would kill Su Fang at any moment. Master Peng looked at Su Fang as if he was looking at a dead man. His eyes were filled with pride. Who knew? Su Fang said indifferently, It's just a spot for the preliminary round of the Myriad Refinements Conference. Since young Master Ting wants it, just take it. Master Fong, you, Madame Zhu was shocked. Master Fong came to the Zhu clan for the spot for the Myriad Refinements conference. Now that the spot was taken by young Master Ting in a domineering manner, why didn't he react at all? On second thought, Su Fong seemed to have no other choice but to accept his fate. The others were startled, but they weren't surprised. Master Peng snorted and said, "Outsider, weren't you very arrogant before? I thought you were an extraordinary person, but it turns out that you are a coward." Su Fong said, "If young Master Ting doesn't have any other matters, I will take my leave." With Su Fong showing weakness, young Master Ting couldn't let his experts attack. Chapter 1741. Master Peng stared at Su Fong and grinned. "I was very dissatisfied with what happened 20 years ago. Today, young Master Ting, please be the witness. I want to compete with you in the art of forging. It won't be too late for you to leave after the competition." Su Fong chuckled. "What if I don't want to?" Young Master Ting said majestically, "You have to compete even if you don't want to. If you win against Master Peng, you can continue to be a blacksmith in the Zhu clan. If you lose, get out of the Zhu clan immediately." Since young Master Ting said so, I can only ask Master Peng for advice. Coincidentally, I encountered a bottleneck in forging and need to find a blacksmith to exchange pointers. Su Fong answered straightforwardly as if he didn't notice Master Peng's murderous intent. "Brat, you dared to hit my face. Today, I will let you die without a burial place." Master Peng smiled coldly. "How does Master Peng plan to compete?" Su Fong asked with a silly look. "Forging a Dao tool can take as little as 10 years or as long as 1,000 years. Young Master Ting's time is precious. How can you wait for such a long time?" Master Peng stroked his 1-foot-long beard and said gloomily. Then, Master Peng suddenly took out 2 xian guang from his storage ring. Inside each xian guang, there was an embryonic form of a flying sword sealed by a formation. There were handprints and mysterious and complex true fire marks on the sword. Surprisingly, they were 2 top-grade flying swords. Master Gu praised, "Brother Peng can actually forge top-grade magic treasures. Your blacksmithing skills have improved to another level. Congratulations. Brother Gu reached my level 100,000 years ago. Compared to Brother Gu, I am ashamed," Master Peng said modestly, but his face was full of pride. 20 years ago, you humiliated me in this way. Today, I will pay you back in the same way. These 2 embryonic forms of flying swords were personally forged by me. Only the last step is left. You and I will use the treasured cauldron to control the flames and successfully forge the embryonic forms of flying swords. Whoever uses the shortest time and has the highest quality magic treasure will be the winner. Master Peng explained the competition method. So simple? If they were to compare the quality of the Dao tools that Su Fong refined, he would not be able to compete with Master Peng. When the time came, he would have no choice but to ask the dead lord for help in secret. Who would have thought that Grandmaster Peng would propose such a method of competition? With Su Fong's current artifact crafting level, it was not enough to refine a top-grade Dao artifact. However, with the power of his flames, it would not be difficult for him to complete the last step of controlling the flames to burn the Dao treasures Dao Palace of Heaven and Earth. Furthermore, he would not be any weaker than Master Peng. Simple. Master Peng sneered in his heart. "I'll let you die a horrible death later." Then, Master Peng said generously, "In order to be fair, you can choose first." Su Fong activated his perfect fleshly body ability, but did not find anything unusual about the 2 flying sword embryonic forms. Therefore, he randomly chose one of them. Master Peng then said to Master Gu, "Brother Gu, in order to be fair, let him use your treasure so that he won't say that I borrowed the power of the cauldron if he loses." Master Gu took out a cauldron that was about 30 meters tall from his storage ring. It was actually an ancient magic treasure. Although it was not as good as the Tiangang creation cauldron, it was still extraordinary. Master Gu said proudly, A low-level artifact like you will never have the chance to use my ancient magic treasure in your lifetime. I'll let you use it once. You don't need to fuse with the cauldron. I'll activate the cauldron for you. You can use your primordial fire to control the flames inside the cauldron. That's very fair. Su Fong smiled faintly. After Master Gu activated the cauldron with his hand, he retreated to the side and looked on with folded arms. At this time, Master Peng also took out a cauldron, but its quality was not as good as Master Gu's. Let's begin. Master Peng activated the cauldron and inserted the prototype flying sword into it. Su Fong smiled faintly. After removing the formation on his prototype flying sword, he inserted it into the array of the cauldron. Then, he formed a hand seal to activate a part of the firepower of the illusory fire cloud to control the flames in the cauldron, refining and brewing the sword. Suddenly, after the flames that burst out from the array of the cauldron merged with Su Fong's primordial fire, a stream of flames actually flowed back along with Su Fong's primordial fire and entered Su Fong's body. This stream of flames was not fierce. Instead, it carried a chilling aura of death. After entering Su Fong's body, it immediately merged with Su Fong's flesh and blood, crazily devouring Su Fong's life aura. The undead king suddenly said, "Master, this is the energy decay corpse flame. It's refined from the corpse flame of a resurrected Dao realm expert. It can quickly corrode a cultivator's life aura and is extremely insidious." Energy decay corpse flame? Master, don't worry. This little bit of energy decay corpse flame is nothing to me. Inside the sky-burying dark coffin, the undead king immediately activated a stream of death power and absorbed all the energy decay corpse flame in Su Fong's body. In fact, there was no need for the undead king to do anything. Su Fong's pure yang power could refine all evil power. It seems that Master Peng and Master Gu are planning to kill me. Ting Chu must be behind this. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Undead king, think of a way to return the favor. They're just 2 ants. It's easy to get rid of them, the undead king said domineeringly. Seeing Su Fong use his primordial fire to merge the flames in the cauldron, Master Gu and Master Peng smiled at each other. Their eyes were filled with pride and cruelty. Then, Master Peng stared fixedly at Su Fong, waiting for Su Fong to die on the spot. Who knew, half an hour later, Su Fong seemed to be unharmed. 2 hours later, Su Fong still showed no signs of being devoured by the corpse flame. Could it be that the decaying corpse flame has no effect? That's impossible. Once the decaying corpse flame touches the primordial fire, it will seep into the body through the primordial fire. It's incomparably powerful. How can it be ineffective on this kid? Master Peng and Master Gu secretly communicated. They were both very surprised. Su Fong's voice sounded, "Master Peng, are you deliberately letting me win? Thank you so much." Only then did Master Peng realize that he had been waiting for Su Fong to die. Unknowingly, nearly 4 hours had passed. Chi! A burst of flames swept the sword out of the cauldron. Su Fong struck out dazzling hand seals. Su Fong's fire elemental power merged perfectly with the cauldron's flames. It incessantly burned the prototype of the flying sword and refined the Tao Palace of heaven and earth. In this state, more than 2 hours passed. Su Fong suddenly waved his hand and swept out a stream of spiritual liquid. He poured it on the sword that was being burned by the primordial fire. Pung! A burst of mist rose and swept out in all directions. A supreme-grade flying sword appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Until now, Master Peng's flying sword was still brewing in the cauldron. It would take at least half a day to complete the refinement. This kid's ability to control flames is really extraordinary. Why is the decaying corpse flame ineffective on him? Master Peng and Master Gu were both shocked and puzzled. Young Master Ting's eyes were also filled with surprise. The attention of everyone in the stone hall was attracted by the flying sword. No one noticed that the spiritual liquid that Su Fong poured out was evaporated by the burning sword. There was a trace of death qi in the steam. It was like a living creature. As the steam spread around, Master Ping inhaled it into his nostrils. This trace of death qi was a mark created by the undead king with the Tao of death. It was absorbed into Master Ping's body and lurked in his heart, slowly devouring his life essence. In less than a month, his life force would be completely devoured. With the undead king's current strength, he could even fight against a demigod with the sky-burying dark coffin. Wouldn't it be a piece of cake for him to punish an insignificant blacksmith like Master Ping? Su Fang also prepared a gift for Master Gu in the treasured cauldron. As long as Master Gu activated the treasured cauldron, he would receive this gift that would make him extremely surprised. As for young Master Ting, it would be too easy for him to kill him directly. Su Fang decided to spare his life for now. Young Master Ting, do I win this blacksmith competition? Su Fang looked at young Master Ting. Useless trash. Young Master Ting shouted coldly at Master Ping. Then, he stood up and walked out of the stone hall. Master Ping and Master Gu resentfully put away their cauldrons. Before they left, they glared fiercely at Su Fang. Naturally, they didn't forget to threaten him. Master Fang, young Master Ting took the quota for the Myriad Refinement Conference. What should we do? Madame Zhu felt extremely guilty. She was also worried that Su Fang would leave in a huff. Without a blacksmith, the Zhu clan would be in trouble again. It doesn't matter. Since he took my quota, I will make him spit it back out and make him pay 10 times the price. Su Fang smiled indifferently and left embarrassedly. Looking at Su Fang's back, Madame Zhu felt that this black-faced, young blacksmith was somewhat unfathomable. Young Master Ting left the Zhu clan with the experts of the Ting clan and the 2 blacksmiths. Master Ping couldn't help but ask Master Gu, Brother Gu, why didn't the method you prepared in the treasured cauldron work? I also find it strange. Why is the decaying corpse flame not moving? Let's see what's going on. Master Gu immediately separated a strand of yang energy and sent it into the treasured cauldron in the depths of his body to check the decaying corpse flame hidden in the array. The decaying corpse flame was still floating in the array of the weapon cauldron, as if it had never been touched. Master Gu released a strand of thought to activate the decaying corpse flame. Just as his thought touched the decaying corpse flame, boom! The decaying corpse flame suddenly exploded, turning into rolling corpse flames that engulfed the array, burning and corroding Master Gu's yang energy. Not only that, the corpse flames broke through the array shackles of the weapon cauldron and rushed out of the weapon cauldron like a flood, engulfing Master Gu's body. Sizzle, the corpse flames crazily burned Master Gu's body. Amidst the miserable screams, Master Gu's body was burned into a dried corpse without a trace of blood. Chapter 1742. Since young Master Ting had taken the qualification for the preliminary round of the Myriad Refinement Conference, Su Fang was not in a hurry. He continued to stay in the Zhu clan's equipment forging dojo and cultivate the Tao of equipment forging. After this, young Master Ting did not come to the Zhu clan again. Young Master Ting, Ting Chu, was frightened. First, it was Master Gu who died mysteriously. A few months later, Master Peng also died mysteriously. In the end, he became a dried corpse and died a miserable death. Young Master Ting was not an idiot. He faintly sensed some clues and could not help but fear Su Fang. He did not dare to trouble Su Fang again and even temporarily gave up the idea of annexing the Zhu clan. 100 years passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Su Fang called for Madame Zhu. He shot out a xian guang, rolled out a storage ring, and handed it to Madame Zhu. Then, he said, I will go to Ting City and will probably take some time. These flying swords will be enough to support the equipment forging dojo for a while. In these years, Su Fang had mainly focused on forging top-grade Tao artifacts. Naturally, he did not have the energy to forge middle-grade flying swords for the equipment forging dojo. The flying swords that Su Fang handed to Madame Zhu were all forged by the Equipment Forging Dojo in the Zhenlong realm. Of course, the materials used were from the Zhu clan. Is Master Su leaving? Madame Zhu's expression changed and her heart sank. Ever since he won the competition with Master Peng, Ting Qing knew that the Zhu clan's Equipment Forging Dojo had recruited a powerful equipment forging master. This caused the business of the Zhu clan's Equipment Forging Dojo to skyrocket. Because of this, the entire Zhu clan showed signs of prosperity. If Su Fang left the Zhu clan now, the Zhu clan would definitely return to its original state. How could Madame Zhu not be anxious? What? Madame Zhu, you don't want me to leave? After cultivating in the Cavern of Time for more than 1,000 years, Su Fang's cultivation was about to reach the peak of the advanced stage of the Dao realm. Just now, Su Fang successfully forged another top-grade Dao artifact. Naturally, he was in a good mood. When he saw Madame Zhu's beautiful face, he could not help but tease her. Madame Zhu's cold face blushed. Then, she clenched her teeth and said, "If Master Fang is willing to stay in the Zhu clan, I am willing to pay any price." At any cost? Su Fang raised his eyebrows, and his gaze involuntarily swept over Madame Zhu's face and chest. The corners of his mouth curled into a smile. Madame Zhu said resolutely, "That's right, I'll pay any price. The time for the Myriad Refinements Conference hasn't arrived yet, so I naturally won't leave. Therefore, Madame Zhu doesn't need to pay any price. I'm only going to Ting City to take care of some matters and take back my quota for the preliminaries of the Myriad Refinements Conference." Su Fang chuckled and then walked out of the Equipment Forging Training Hall. Madame Zhu was shocked and stunned, but soon became angry. "I was actually taken advantage of by him. This person looks honest and sincere, but he's actually lecherous by nature. He's not a good person." Then, she felt very frustrated. Could it be that I'm already a middle-aged woman and am no longer attractive to him? After leaving the Zhu clan, Su Fang arrived at the Ting City Bazaar. First, he went straight to the person in charge of the Ting clan's market and explained his intentions. "You want to rent a place in the busiest area of the market for 100 years? After hearing Su Fang's intentions, the person in charge immediately became spirited. Today, he met a big customer, no, a fat sheep. "That's right, how many immortal stones do I need to pay?" Su Fang nodded and said. The person in charge of the Ting clan thought for a moment and said a number, 10 million medium-grade immortal stones. "You can choose a Tenjiang area in the bazaar and use it for 100 years. Su Fang's brows furrowed. 10 million medium-grade immortal stones? That's a bit expensive. The person in charge of the Ting clan hurriedly said, "The rent is negotiable. 10 million medium-grade immortal stones it is. However, I need a guarantee that no one can obstruct me for 100 years. The person in charge of the Ting clan was overjoyed. "You don't have to worry about this. Whoever obstructs you will be provoking the Ting clan. The Ting clan will send experts to suppress them even if you don't do anything." "What if the Ting clan's young master obstructs me?" The person in charge of the Ting clan was startled and immediately asked, "What are you planning to do? Why does it involve the Ting clan's young master?" "I'm going to forge a Dao artifact." "Forge a Dao artifact?" The person in charge of the Ting clan was startled. Could it be that this ordinary-looking young cultivator was an idiot? He actually spent a sky-high price to rent a place in the bazaar of Ting City to forge artifacts? "Then," he said solemnly, "as long as you don't do anything harmful to the Ting clan, even the Ting clan's young masters won't dare to do anything to you. The bazaar of the Ting clan is managed by the young clan leader. Those young masters won't dare to act presumptuously in the bazaar." "Then I'm relieved." Su Fang immediately handed over the immortal stones and signed the agreement. The person in charge of the Ting clan brought Su Fang to the bazaar. In the center of the bazaar, he marked out a Tenjiang area and gave it to Su Fang. Su Fong created a formation in the surroundings and then sat cross-legged in the middle of the formation. He took out pieces of origin stones and all kinds of materials needed for forging artifacts. There were actually more than 100 kinds of materials piled up into a small mountain in the middle of the formation. Su Fong's strange actions immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the bazaar, and they all gathered around him. At first, people thought that Su Fong was setting up a stall to sell materials for forging artifacts. Who would have thought that Su Fong would start to polish all kinds of origin stones and other materials? Only now did the crowd understand Su Fong's intention. Whispers immediately sounded in the crowd. This person actually plans to forge artifacts in public in the bazaar of Ting City? Could this swarthy foreign cultivator be an idiot? The daily fee for setting up a stall in the bazaar wasn't low. Su Fong occupied such a large area, and forging artifacts wasn't something that could be completed in a day or two. How much money would it cost? Who would do this except for an idiot? Looking at these materials, this person actually plans to forge a top-grade Dao artifact. Some knowledgeable people saw some clues from Su Fong's materials and immediately cried out in surprise. Forge a top-grade Dao artifact? How old is this kid? He actually plans to forge a top-grade Dao artifact? This person is either a wild and unrestrained refining genius or an idiot. Genius? How can a genius who can forge a top-grade Dao artifact and has the strength to take first place in the 10,000 Refinements Conference set up a stall in Ting City? I think this person is definitely an idiot. I think this person's intention isn't simple. He plans to use this method to attract the attention of the major powers of the Burning Flame domain and amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. He's just playing to the gallery. Everyone discussed animatedly. Some people snorted at Su Fong's actions, and some people who saw Su Fong's materials had the intention to kill him and steal his treasures. Su Fong turned a deaf ear to the crowd's discussion. He used sharp weapons or sword formations to polish the materials. He appeared to be extremely patient. In the blink of an eye, more than a year had passed. Su Fong finished polishing all the materials. Then, Su Fong took out the void dust cauldron and refined the polished materials. This process took nearly a year. Su Fong became a unique scenery in Ting City's bazaar. Outside the formation, no one stayed to watch the show. At most, they would look from afar and laugh a few times. Young Master Ting Chu, also received the news that Su Fong was forging in the bazaar. At first, he was very surprised, but soon, he sneered disdainfully. 100 years ago, he could only forge a middle-grade Dao artifact at most. Now, he actually plans to forge a top-grade Dao artifact. Isn't this extremely laughable? At his age, if he could really forge a top-grade Dao artifact, he would have been recruited by the Jiang clan. Why would he need to join a declining clan like the Zhu clan? The expert with the dragon beard said, "This person is openly forging in the Ting clan's bazaar. I'm afraid his intention is not simple. Obviously, he is demonstrating his power to young master, or he wants to attract the attention of the higher-ups of the Ting clan and take back the qualification for the preliminary round of the 10,000 Refinements Conference that young master took away. Why don't I take action and directly kill him to prevent him from damaging young master's reputation? The bazaar is young master's territory. If we take action against this person, it will definitely cause a conflict with young master. It's not worth it. Let this person cause a ruckus. After he leaves with his tail between his legs, we can just kill him. However, you must be careful when the time comes. I'm afraid that this person has some hidden methods. I suspect that the deaths of Peng and Gu are related to this person." Su Fong finished polishing and refining all the materials. Then, he took out a treasured cauldron. It was not the Heavenly Dipper creation cauldron, but a top-grade treasured cauldron. If Su Fong took out the Heavenly Dipper creation cauldron, it would definitely attract the attention of some big shots. It was possible that they would kill him at all costs and seize his treasures. Even so, the treasured cauldron Su Fang took out still attracted many greedy gazes. Just this treasured cauldron alone was worth a lot, not to mention that there were so many forging materials. If it weren't for the fact that Su Fang had created a powerful formation in the Ting clan's bazaar, someone might have already killed him and seized his treasures. Whoosh! Su Fang poured the liquid of all the refined materials into the treasured cauldron. Then, Su Fang released the mark of true fire, which merged perfectly with the flames in the treasured cauldron. He controlled the flames inside the cauldron and started to burn the materials. What kind of true fire does this person cultivate? His ability to control flames is so powerful. This person's forging technique is so skillful, and his flames are so powerful. He can be called a forging master. Look at the hand seals he used. Although they are simple, they contain endless mysteries and release powerful flames. This person is extraordinary, very extraordinary. Who knows, he might be able to refine a top-grade Dao artifact. Only now did Su Fang attract the attention of some forging masters. The number of people gathering outside the formation gradually increased. Su Fang put half of his attention on forging and the other half on cultivation. He didn't care about the reactions of the people outside. Young Master Ting, who received the news, felt that it was unbelievable. He couldn't sit still anymore. If Su Fang continued to cause trouble, the higher-ups of the Ting clan would definitely be alerted. On this day, Fang Yu, are you trying to show off and provoke the Ting clan by forging in our bazaar? Leave the bazaar. Otherwise, don't blame me for breaking the rules and driving you out of the bazaar. Outside the formation, young Master Ting Chu's cold voice sounded. Then Ting Chu, who was wearing a silver robe, appeared outside the formation. Chapter 1743. What an arrogant cultivator from the outside! Ting Chu shouted coldly, and his eyes flashed with a cold light. 8K red K book, 2 infinity 30 is not equal to then. He gave a cold order to the bearded cultivator. How can a foreign cultivator be so arrogant in the Ting clan's market? Break the formation and expel this person from Ting City. If he resists, suppress him immediately. Yes. After the bearded cultivator formed a hand seal, he controlled an aura that could topple mountains and overturn seas and crashed into the formation. Boom! The formation around Su Fang suffered such a powerful attack, and a loud rumble sounded. Although the commotion was great, the formation did not move at all. Su Fang raised the corner of his mouth, revealing a trace of ridicule, and continued to immerse himself in refining. With his terrifying strength that was comparable to a demigod expert, how could an early-stage Dao realm immortal venerable easily shake the formation he created casually? Boom! 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 The bearded cultivator used all his strength and attacked more than 10 times, but the formation still did not move. What a powerful formation! It's so sturdy. Is this person an expert in the Tao of formations? Ting Chu was surprised and shocked. The curly-bearded cultivator's face flushed red instead. He was a renowned expert of the Ting clan at any rate, yet he was actually unable to shake a formation created by a Saint Immortal Realm cultivator, and it was simply humiliating to the extreme. At this moment, a cold shout sounded. Ting Chu, what are you doing? Under the protection of more than 10 Ting clan experts, a young man of the Ting clan strode over. This young man was tall and had a domineering aura as he walked. His strength was also very shocking, reaching the peak of the early-stage Dao realm. Greetings, young clan leader. Greetings, elder brother. Ting Chu and the bearded cultivator cupped their fists and greeted. This young man was the young clan leader of the Ting clan. At such a young age, he was already at the peak of the early-stage Dao realm. His cultivation talent was extraordinary, and he could be considered a genius. Ting Chu, as the young master of the Ting clan, why are you causing trouble in the Ting clan's market? The young clan leader said coldly. This person is openly refining in the market, looking down on our clan. I am doing this to protect the dignity of the Ting clan. Ting Chu's body trembled, and he quickly found a dignified reason. The young clan leader said coldly, "This person paid the rent and signed an agreement with the Ting clan. He can use of this place. He can use this place. How is he looking down on our clan? Why aren't you leaving?" Ting Chu glared hatefully at Su Fang, then left with the bearded cultivator in embarrassment. Su Fang sat there without moving and said indifferently, "I'm at a critical moment in refining and can't split myself. Please forgive me, young patriarch." The young clan leader waved his hand and said to Su Fang, "Sir, your ability is extraordinary. If you are willing to join our clan, I can promise you that you will be given a high status, and you will enjoy the treatment of a master." Su Fang said, "Thank you, young clan leader. However, I have already joined the Zhu clan. I will not consider joining the Ting clan." "The Zhu clan?" The young clan leader raised his eyebrows and showed displeasure. The Ting clan leader beside him said, "Young clan leader, this person would rather join the declining Zhu clan than join our Ting clan. He is indeed arrogant. He dares to look down on our clan. Let's suppress him and make him our refining slave. This person has an agreement with our clan. If we suppress him openly, it will damage our clan's reputation. It is not appropriate." The young clan leader shook his head and rejected the suggestion of his subordinate. Then, the young clan leader said to Su Fang, "Sir, you want to join the Zhu clan for Lady Zhu's beauty and the Zhu clan's inherited fire elemental superpower. If you are willing to join our clan, you can choose any woman more beautiful than Lady Zhu. Our fire elemental superpower will not be weaker than the Zhu clan's. You can also cultivate it. What do you think?" Su Fang refused without hesitation. "I am sorry. I have no intention of joining the Ting clan. I can only accept the young clan leader's kindness." The young clan leader's face turned gloomy. He walked out of the market with his subordinates and said to one of his subordinates, "Keep an eye on this person. If he can successfully forge a top-grade Dao weapon, recruit him at all costs. If he fails, suppress him as soon as he walks out of the market." Yes. 50 years passed in the blink of an eye. In Su Fang's weapon cauldron, the Dao Palace of Heaven and Earth gradually took shape. Outside the formation, layers and layers of people gathered. No one dared to mock Su Fang anymore. Instead, they were all praising Su Fang's ability to refine weapons. Their gazes towards Su Fang were filled with respect. The top-grade Dao weapon in the weapon cauldron is about to be forged. He can forge a top-grade Dao weapon at such a young age. In the entire Incineration Blaze region, only a few peerless forging geniuses from the big clans can surpass him. Genius, this person will definitely become a top master in the Incineration Blaze region in the future. I heard that this person is a forging master of the Zhu clan. I didn't expect the Zhu clan, which has long declined, to be able to recruit such a genius. Lady Zhu and her son, Zhu Yan, stared at Su Fang in the crowd. Her eyes were filled with shock and excitement. At the same time, she was worried about her gains and losses. How could the Zhu clan keep such a talented blacksmith? He was definitely not a fish in a pond. If she had known this would happen, she would have sacrificed herself. Even if she couldn't keep this person in the Zhu clan, she would have made a good impression on him. When he soared, the Zhu clan would be under his protection. Young Zhu Yan's eyes were filled with reverence as he looked at Su Fang. He clenched his fists and said, "One day, I will become someone like Master Fang." At this moment there was a commotion in the crowd. A large group of Ting clan experts escorted a green-robed elder out of the formation. This elder's aura was empty, but he had a domineering aura. It was obvious that he was an expert who had been in a high position for a long time. This person was the leader of the Ting clan, a mid-level Dao realm expert. He was famous in the Incineration Blaze region. No one expected him to come personally to watch Su Fang forge a weapon. The young leader of the Ting clan and young Master Ting Chu also came with the leader. Their expressions were different. The young leader secretly rejoiced, "Fortunately, I didn't attack this person. Otherwise, with this person's skill in forging weapons, he would definitely be valued by the leader. If I offended this person, I would definitely be punished by the leader." Ting Chu, on the other hand, was filled with regret. His heart was restless. Only now did he understand that Su Fong openly forged weapons in the market not to show off to him, but to show his talent and attract the attention of the higher-ups of the Ting clan. This time, even the leader was alarmed. With this person's forging skills, the Ting clan would definitely recruit him at all costs. If the leader knew that he had repeatedly targeted Su Fong and wanted to kill Su Fong, Ting Chu would definitely be severely punished. He might even lose the right to compete with the young leader. Suddenly, Su Fong grabbed at the weapon cauldron. Chi. A sword body that was burned by Su Fong's primordial fire, and the weapon cauldron's flame flew out from the weapon cauldron. Go! After Su Fong made a hand seal, he released a stream of spiritual liquid and splashed it on the sword body. A puff of white smoke rose into the air along with a faint multicolored light. Clang! Without waiting for the white smoke and glow to disperse, a sword light soared into the sky from the flying sword with a clear dragon roar. Buzz! 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 Most of the cultivators present used flying swords. When Su Fong's flying sword let out a sword roar, it exploded and vibrated continuously. Some of the weaker cultivators could not control the flying swords in their bodies. They flew out of their bodies and floated in the air. The tips of the swords pointed in the direction of the weapon cauldron and emitted a buzzing sound. They seemed to be worshipping the newly created flying sword. The birth of a sword, the worship of 10,000 swords. How inconceivable was this, and how magnificent was this scene. This scene caused everyone to be incomparably shocked. This person's forging talent can be said to be nature-defying. The Ting clan must recruit him. The eyes of the leader of the Ting clan shone brightly. He looked at Su Fong as if he was looking at a peerless treasure. At this moment, the white smoke and glow dissipated and a flying sword appeared. The 3-foot-long sword was emitting a dazzling brilliance. Above the sword, there was a green light that was slithering around like a green dragon. The flying sword released a divine power that only a supreme-grade Dao weapon could have. It also had a supreme domineering aura that no other flying sword had. Even a supreme-grade Dao weapon had to bow down to it. This sword contained Su Fong's understanding of the great Dao of weapon forging of the Celestial Treasure Emperor. Therefore, it was full of spirituality as soon as it was born. At the same time, when Su Fong was forging this sword, he injected the Dragon Qi imprint and the Emperor's seal into the Heaven and Earth Dao Palace. Extraordinary forging techniques, extraordinary true fire, and hand seals made this supreme-grade flying sword extraordinary. It was far beyond the reach of ordinary supreme-grade flying swords. Even a supreme-grade flying sword at the peak of the Dao realm was inferior to it. Swoosh! Swoosh! Under everyone's shocked gazes, Su Fong put the flying sword, weapon cauldron, and the remaining materials into his storage ring. Then, Su Fong removed the surrounding formation. The chief of the Ting clan cupped his fists at Su Fong. "Master Su!" The young chief of the Ting clan said, "Master Su, this is the chief of our clan." Su Fong cupped his fists and said, "Fong Yu greets the chief." 8 As the chief of the Ting clan said with a smile, "Master Su, you're good. In this refinement conference, you'll definitely be able to show your talent and even have a chance to win." Su Fong said indifferently, "I'm not even qualified to participate in the preliminary round of the refinement conference. How can I show my talent?" The chief of the Ting clan was stunned. Master Fong is a weapon forger of the Zhu clan. The Zhu clan originally had a place to participate in the preliminary round of the refinement conference, but it was taken away by Ting Chu's brother and given to a slave who can't even forge a low-grade Dao weapon. The young chief mercilessly hit Ting Chu when he was down. Ting Chu was a potential threat to him. If he didn't hit him when he was down now, when would he? I. Chapter 1744. You blind fool! The chief of the Ting clan shouted coldly. However, he only reprimanded Ting Chu and didn't punish him. After all, Ting Chu was the young master of the Ting clan and the son of the chief. He naturally wouldn't punish Ting Chu in front of outsiders. Then, the chief smiled at Su Fong and said, I was ignorant and offended you, master, please don't laugh at me. Of course, we will return your quota to you. If you can join the Ting clan and represent the Zhu clan in the Thousand Refinements Conference, the Ting clan is willing to pay a price that will satisfy you. Su Fong shook his head and said, When I first came to Ting City, I had no one to rely on. It was Madame Zhu who took me in. When I was chased by Lian Xiao and my life was hanging by a thread, Madame Zhu didn't abandon me. If I join the Ting clan now, it will go against my Dao heart. When Madame Zhu heard this, Su Fong's image in her heart instantly became incomparably tall and majestic. When they were chased by Lian Xiao of the Ting clan, she only let Su Fong take Zhu Yan away to protect her son. She didn't expect Ting Chu to keep this matter in his heart. This kind of man was worthy of a woman's reliance. If I were still unmarried, how fortunate would it be to become his Dao companion? For a moment, Madame Zhu's imagination ran wild. Chased by Lian Xiao? Which member of the Ting clan dares to attack you? The chief of the Ting clan finally understood the real reason why Su Fong refused to join the Ting clan. His face instantly darkened. This damned foreign cultivator. He not only wants to take back the quota to the Thousand Refinements Conference, but also wants to kill me. This person is so vengeful. Boom! Ting Chu's head exploded. Even if he didn't receive any punishment this time, he would leave a bad impression in the chief's eyes. There was almost no hope for him to compete for the position of the young clan leader. The chief of the Ting clan snorted coldly and glanced at Ting Chu with a sharp gaze. Then, he smiled at Su Fong and said, The junior of the Ting clan is ignorant and offended you. After this, he will be severely punished. Master Fong, please consider joining the Ting clan carefully. Su Fong smiled faintly and said, I can only accept the chief's kindness. The chief's face darkened and he was very displeased. This was the territory of the Ting clan. He, as the chief of the Ting clan, repeatedly invited him, but the other party didn't give him any face. So what if he was a blacksmith genius? In front of powerful forces, he was a genius? Many geniuses were killed before they could grow up. Those who could truly become peerless figures were few and far between. The chief of the Ting Chu Tings, Ansan Ting Chu Ting SS, and SU Nniu, Wilt SU, S's clan. Master S's clan, TS's clan. T-Tes chooses clan, he. T.S. Ting S. If the chief of the Ting clan really did something stupid, Su Fong wouldn't hesitate to use some methods to erase the Ting clan from the incineration flame region without anyone knowing. With his current strength, it was too easy for him to destroy the small Ting clan without attracting any attention. The simplest way was to let the second primordial spirit directly control the thoughts and consciousness of the Ting clan leader. It would be easy for him to destroy the Ting clan. Suddenly, a majestic voice came from the crowd. The Ting clan's pool is too small, how can it accommodate such a genius? Our Jiang clan wants this person. Ting clan leader, don't be impulsive and do something stupid that will bring disaster to the Ting clan. As soon as he finished speaking, an old man walked out from the crowd. The old man was wearing a red robe with flaming Dao patterns on it. His aura was also filled with domineering flaming divine might. His strength had reached the high level of the Dao realm, and he was definitely considered a top expert in the incineration flame region. Grand Elder Jiang Yin. Seeing this old man, the Ting clan leader's expression changed instantly. He hurriedly stepped forward and cupped his fists to greet the old man. When the surrounding crowd figured out the old man's identity, they all showed respect and stepped aside. It turned out that this old man was from the Jiang clan. He was also one of the grand elders of the Jiang clan. The Jiang clan was the most powerful clan in the incineration flame region. Compared to the Jiang clan, the Ting clan was nothing. Moreover, this grand elder of the Jiang clan, Jiang Yin, was one of the few supreme existences in the incineration flame region. Who dared to disrespect him? Su Fang also sensed a strong great pregnant purple qi from this old man. This old man not only had extraordinary strength, but was also a true weapon-forging grandmaster. The old man in the red robe ignored the Ting clan leader. He walked to Su Fang and scanned Su Fang with his divine light. His eyes were filled with surprise and admiration. 1 sword and 10,000 swords submit to it. Even I couldn't do such a miraculous skill in weapon forging. I'm inviting you on behalf of the Jiang clan. You won't refuse, right? The old man nodded at Su Fang. Su Fang said, "Thank you for your kindness, Grand Elder Jiang. However, I still want to use my talent to get the Golden Crow Silkworm in the Refinement Conference." Get the Golden Crow Silkworm? I didn't expect you to be aiming for first place in the Refinement Conference. You are indeed bold. Grand Elder Jiang Yin was startled and then burst into laughter. He looked at Su Fang with eyes full of admiration. There are several weapon-forging geniuses in this refinement conference. If you want to win, I'm afraid it will be difficult. However, I like ambitious young people like you. Therefore, I won't force you. I also promise you that as long as you enter the top 10 in the refinement conference, I will accept you as my disciple. If you are willing, you can choose a woman from the Jiang clan to be your cultivation companion and become an official member of the Jiang clan. Jiang Yin laughed heartily and made a promise to Su Fang. Swish, swish, swish. Many gazes filled with envy and even some jealousy landed on Su Fang. In everyone's eyes, this unprepossessing foreign cultivator had really soared into the sky. Madame Zhu's mood was very complicated. She was naturally very happy that Su Fang was valued by a big shot of the Jiang clan. However, when she heard that Jiang Yin intended to let Su Fang become cultivation companions with a woman from the Jiang clan, she felt inexplicably irritated. "Thank you, Grand Elder Jiang." Su Fang cupped his fists and thanked him. Su Fang's goal was the Golden Crow Silkworm. As for his ranking in the Refinement Conference and his future status in the Jiang clan, it was simply a joke to him. "I will wait for your performance in the Refinement Conference." Grand Elder Jiang nodded at Su Fang and then left in embarrassment. "Congratulations, Grandmaster Fang. From now on, you will have a meteoric rise." The Ting clan leader's attitude suddenly changed. Before, he was polite and arrogant, but now, he was flattering and even trying to curry favor. This was the big world. Everyone was so realistic. Su Fang was valued by a big shot of the Jiang clan, and was promised that he would become an important figure in the Jiang clan in the future. At the very least, he would be an extraordinary blacksmith grandmaster. When that time came, even the Ting clan would have to look up to him. If he kept thinking about the grudges between him and the Ting clan would have a lot of trouble in the future. As the Ting clan leader, he naturally wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. The Ting clan leader looked at Ting Chu and raised his white eyebrows. His eyes flashed with a sharp cold light and he said coldly, "You are stripped of your young master status. Starting tomorrow, you will go to the mine to receive your punishment." Go to the mine? Ting Chu's legs went soft. He couldn't support his body weight anymore and collapsed on the ground. The mine was where the slaves of the Ting clan lived. When the punished clansmen went to the mine, they had a slim chance of survival. Moreover, Ting Chu was usually arrogant and domineering in the Ting clan and made many enemies. Now that he had lost his young master status, how could those people not hit him when he was down? When he went to the mine, his life would be left there. How could Ting Chu not despair? If Lord Clan Leader wants to deal with the clan's affairs, I won't accompany you. I won't take the misunderstandings between the Ting clan and me to heart. Lord Clan Leader doesn't need to worry about anything. Su Fang of course understood that the Ting clan leader punished Ting Chu just for him to see. He didn't take it to heart. After smiling embarrassedly, he walked out of the crowd and walked out of the market. Madame Zhu quickly followed Su Fang with Zhu Yan, as if she was afraid that Su Fang would get lost. After walking out of Ting City, they arrived in the wilderness. Grandmaster Fang, Zhu Yan suddenly said. His young face was flushed red, as if he had mustered up a great deal of courage. Su Fang asked in surprise, "What's the matter?" Plop. Zhu Yan suddenly knelt on the ground and said, "I am willing to take Grandmaster as my master and serve Grandmaster forever." "Take me as your master?" Su Fang was startled. Madame Zhu was also shocked, but then she showed an expression of approval and gratification. "I have never taken a disciple, nor have I ever thought of taking one. Stand up." Su Fang shook his head with a smile and walked forward. Zhu Yan couldn't help but feel disappointed. Madame Zhu lowered her voice and said, "Yan since you have this idea, you must persevere. Grandmaster Fang is a great person, how can you easily take him as your master? You must show sincerity and perseverance." "Yes." Zhu Yan pulled himself together. Then Zhu Yan suddenly said, "Mother, I heard that even the clansmen said that Grandmaster Fang took a liking to Mother and joined the Zhu clan. Is that true?" "Yan what nonsense are you talking about?" Madame Zhu's face turned red. "Oh," Zhu Yan said, "Mother, Grandmaster Fang is so powerful, but his appearance is ordinary. Why don't you become Dao companions with Grandmaster Fang? This way, I will become Grandmaster Fang's son and won't need to take him as my master." "Nonsense." Madame Zhu was like a young girl who had her first awakening of love. Her face was instantly filled with shyness and her beauty was unparalleled. However, after she calmed down and thought about it, her son's suggestion seemed to be worth considering. Although the conversation between the mother and son was kept very low, how could it escape Su Fang's great fulfillment hearing? Su Fang sighed in his heart, "Gold shines wherever it goes. Even if I put on an ugly face, it still can't hide my brilliance. One Huang Lingyao, one Zhang Ruoyun, I don't even know how to deal with them. How can I be in the mood to care about this, Madame Zhu? Sigh, this is really a headache." Chapter 1745. Back at the Zhu clan's weapon refinery training hall. Zhu Yan knelt at the entrance of the weapon refinery training hall, looking like he would not give up until he acknowledged Su Fang as his master. Su Fang ignored him and entered the training hall. He continued to study the Tao of weapon refinery in preparation for the upcoming 10,000 Refinements Convention. About a month later, Su Fang's great perfection ability sensed that Zhu Yan was still kneeling there and had not gotten up for more than a month. "Zhu Yan." Su Fang walked out of the training hall and looked at Zhu Yan. "Master Fang, you're willing to accept me as your disciple?" Zhu Yan's eyes lit up as he looked at Su Fang expectantly. Su Fang said, "Tell me, why do you want to acknowledge me as your master?" Zhu Yan thought for a while and answered, "As long as I acknowledge you as my master, I can become a weapon refinery master and eventually become a powerhouse. That way, my mother will not be bullied and the Zhu clan will not be bullied by other forces." Su Fang smiled faintly. "Become a powerhouse? Everyone wants to become a powerhouse, to be respected, revered, and looked up to. However, how many people can truly become a powerhouse? Your talent is average. If you don't have a great fortune, you'll at most reach your mother's current height in the future. The chances of you becoming a powerhouse are very slim." Zhu Yan was stunned and his spirit immediately became dispirited. Su Fang sighed inwardly and walked into the weapon refinery training hall. At this moment, Law spoke from within his body. "Su Fang, why don't you accept this child?" Su Fang replied, "Talent is important to become a powerhouse, but you also need a cultivator's heart that is fearless of any difficulties. More importantly, you need a strong belief in becoming a powerhouse and great perseverance to walk down this path unswervingly. Zhu Yan lost the confidence to become a powerhouse just because of a few words from others. How can he climb to the peak of cultivation? Becoming a powerhouse is just a fantasy in the end. Even if I give him a great fortune, it won't change anything. Law continued, you're right. However, this Zhu clan was not simple. They were a bloodline left behind in the great world by the ancient fire god, Zhurong. In the myriad of worlds, the Zhu clan is still a powerful god clan. If you accept this boy, you might be able to get closer to the Zhu clan when you go to the myriad of worlds. It will only be good for you. There are no disadvantages. Why not? Su Fang shook his head and said, I have done everything I can for the Zhu clan. Whatever happens in the future, let him be. Using a disciple to build a relationship with a powerful god race is beneath my dignity. Suddenly, Zhu Yan stood up from the ground and said loudly, Grandmaster Fang, my talent is indeed mediocre, but I, Zhu Yan, do not believe in fate. Su Fang's heart trembled. Turning around to look at Zhu Yan, he suddenly felt as if he could see the youth climbing the divine gate under the night sky. Su Fang stared at Zhu Yan and asked in a low voice, What did you just say? Zhu Yan raised his head, his face full of stubbornness and unwillingness. Even if I offend Grandmaster Fang, I must say that I, Zhu Yan, do not believe in fate. In Grandmaster Fang's eyes, my talent is mediocre and I am not worthy to be his disciple. However, I, Zhu Yan, do not believe that I will be weak and bullied my whole life. I will fight with fate. Even if I can't become Grandmaster's disciple, I will still become a powerhouse. Yen shut up. How dare you offend Grandmaster Fang? Madame Zhu shouted coldly. Then, Madame Zhu quickly apologized to Su Fang and said, Yen is young and ignorant. Grandmaster, please don't lower yourself to his level. Su Fang waved his hand at Madame Zhu and said indifferently to Zhu Yan, I want to see how you will fight with fate. Then, Su Fang formed a seal and used the ethereal enlightenment technique to create a stone pillar that was 1,000 feet tall in the open space in front of the equipment refining hall. Then, he used the wood elemental divine aura and a barbed vine quickly wrapped around the stone pillar and extended all the way to the top. You are not allowed to use any techniques or true qi to protect your body. Climb to the top with your body's strength and I will give you the opportunity to change your fate, Su Fang said indifferently. Zhu Yan looked at the sharp thorns on the vine pillar and could not help but show fear in his eyes. Madame Zhu hesitated and said, Grandmaster Fang, isn't this test a little too difficult? Difficult? When I failed to break through to the next realm, all the meridians in my body became distorted and I became a cripple. I will never be able to cultivate again. I am determined to become a cultivator, and have climbed a similar divine gate before. Zhu Yan is a heaven immortal cultivator. If you think this is difficult, then you should stay at home and drink milk, Su Fang said coldly. Grandmaster Fang, what are you saying? Madame Zhu's face immediately turned red. Su Fang was stunned. Only then did he realize that his words were somewhat provocative. He was speechless for a moment. I've been with Luo for a long time and have been influenced by her. Grandmaster Fang was once a cripple? Zhu Yan was shocked. Then, he became determined. I'll climb. If Grandmaster Fang can do it, then I can do it too. Zhu Yan came to the vine pillar and sealed his true qi. In order to activate his flesh fetus divine armor, he grabbed onto the vine and climbed up with all his might. Before he could climb 3 feet, his hands and body were pierced and cut by the sharp thorns. His body was covered in blood, and he fell to the ground with a plop. Then, without even wiping the blood off his body, he climbed up the vine pillar again without a word. Madame Zhu felt both heartache and relief at the sight of this. It was only when Su Fang was about to enter the equipment refining hall that Madame Zhu remembered her intentions. She hurriedly said, "Grandmaster Fong, please wait. I have something to discuss with you." "What's the matter?" "The flying sword that Grandmaster Fong forged in the market of Ting City has caused a huge commotion in the Ting clan and other clans. The Chamber of Commerce is willing to exchange 3 peak supreme grade Dao weapons for this flying sword. Is Grandmaster Fong interested?" Madame Zhu looked at Su Fong expectantly. It was obvious that the Chamber of Commerce had promised the Zhu clan many benefits. 3 peak supreme grade Dao weapons in exchange for my flying sword? Although Su Fong was surprised, he didn't take it to heart. He casually took out the flying sword he forged in the market and gave it to Madame Zhu. "I'll give the Dao weapons I got from the exchange to the Zhu clan." Su Fong waved his hand. Madame Zhu was shocked by Su Fong's generosity. Then she was overjoyed. 3 peak supreme grade Dao weapons were a huge gain for the declining Zhu clan. However, Grandmaster Fong casually gave them away. This Grandmaster Fong was indeed extraordinarily rich. Madame Zhu continued, "Grandmaster Fong forged treasures in the market of Ting City and was valued by Lord Jiang Yin of the Jiang clan. Many clans and forces wanted to meet Grandmaster Fong. Many blacksmithing geniuses also came to the Zhu clan to compete with Grandmaster Fong. I won't see any of them." Su Fong didn't have the time to care about these people. He directly refused and returned to the equipment refining hall. Madame Zhu brought the flying sword to the stone hall of the Zhu clan. A middle-aged cultivator of the Chamber of Commerce had been waiting for a long time. The Chamber of Commerce didn't go back on their word this time. They actually exchanged 3 peak supreme grade Dao weapons for Su Fong's flying sword. After receiving the flying sword, the middle-aged cultivator immediately left the Zhu clan. He activated a flying boat and flew as fast as lightning to an area in the void where the natural energy of heaven and earth was chaotic. The middle-aged cultivator put away the flying boat and activated a rune talisman to release a protective divine aura that enveloped his body. He then entered the chaotic void and entered an extraterritorial spacetime created by a divine ability. In a desolate area, a young cultivator sat cross-legged on the ground. Sensing the arrival of the middle-aged cultivator, the young cultivator said coldly, "You got the flying sword?" This young cultivator wore an azure robe with cloud patterns. He had a handsome face, but his face was deathly pale. There was a deathly stillness in his eyes, and his aura carried a deathly aura. He was a cultivator who had borrowed the power of the world to revive himself. If Su Fong was here, he would definitely recognize this young cultivator. It was the young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect who had fought with him during the Dao Disciple competition of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect. "Fortunately, I didn't disappoint you." The middle-aged cultivator of the Chamber of Commerce grabbed the flying sword from the storage ring and presented it to the young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect with both hands. The young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect took the flying sword and carefully sensed it. He nodded and said, "This flying sword is indeed extraordinary. That Zhu clan's weapon refiner named Fong, you can actually refine such an extraordinary Dao weapon at such a young age. Even I am amazed by his level of weapon refinement. Do you think this person can win the first place in the Myriad Refinements Conference?" The middle-aged cultivator of the Chamber of Commerce said, "Although this person's level of weapon refinement is extraordinary, there are many geniuses participating in the Weapon Refinement Conference this time. It will be difficult for him to win. However, if he can get your help secretly, he will have a great chance of winning." The young master of the Azure Cloud Immortal sect said, "In that case, try to control this person and help him win in the Jiang clan's Myriad Refinements Conference. When we get the Golden Crow Silkworm, we can kill him." Yes. Lord Mingan was seriously injured in the Immortal Demon War. He needs the pure yang energy of the Golden Crow Silkworm to recover, but we can't alert the Tyrant Blood Venerable behind the Jiang clan. Therefore, this plan can only succeed and can't fail. "Young master, don't worry too much. Although Fang Yu's weapon refinement ability is extraordinary, his strength is only in the Saint Immortal realm. It will be easy to control him. That's good. About 3 months later. Fang Yu, I want to challenge you. Why don't you dare to show yourself? You are so secretive. How can you be called a weapon refinement genius? You are just a lowly foreign cultivator. I don't know what method you used to deceive Lord Jiangyin. How dare you be so arrogant in the incineration flame region? If you have the ability, why don't you fight with me? Outside the Zhu clan's weapon refinement training hall, a dozen young cultivators shouted toward the inside of the weapon refinement training hall. Su Fang's public weapon refinement in the Ting City Bazaar was praised by the big shots of the Jiang clan. Naturally, it aroused the jealousy of many people. These young cultivators were all weapon refinement geniuses from various big clans and forces. They came to the Zhu clan to challenge Su Fang. Some wanted to prove their strength, some wanted to step on Su Fang's reputation to help themselves, and some had other goals. They wanted to find out the true level of Su Fang's weapon refinement. However, Su Fang didn't want to see them at all. Therefore, they all guarded the entrance of the training hall and wantonly ridiculed and cursed, trying to provoke Su Fang to come out. Chapter 1746. While the blacksmithing geniuses who had tried to challenge Su Fang were cursing and swearing, Su Fang slowly walked out of the training hall. 8. Read. Book 230. The provocative voices came to an abrupt end. Su Fang's divine light swept across the blacksmithing geniuses as if he was looking at wood. Then, he came to the bottom of the vine pillar. Poof! Zhu Yan, who had painstakingly climbed to a height of 600 feet, fell from the vine pillar and landed heavily on the ground, creating a large crater. Fortunately, Zhu Yan was a heavenly immortal cultivator. Falling from such a height only caused him to spit out a few mouthfuls of blood. His life was not in danger. However, Zhu Yan's skin and flesh were lacerated, all wounds caused by the thorns on the vine. Some of them had already healed, while others were new wounds. Blood kept oozing out of them, and there was not an inch of undamaged skin on his body. His aura had also become very weak, but there was a fierce look in his eyes. Seeing that Su Fang was paying attention to him, Zhu Yan said in shame, "Master Fang, Zhu Yan is useless. I can't climb to the top. But please don't worry, Master. Give me a few more years and I will definitely climb up. I won't disappoint you." Su Fang said indifferently, "If I told you that with your current strength, you can't climb to the top without using your true qi and divine power, would you still continue climbing?" Zhu Yan was stunned, but then he said decisively, "If the top of the vine pillar is the peak of a powerhouse, then even if I know it's difficult to reach, I will still continue climbing. Come with me." Su Fang nodded and walked into the training hall. "I've received Master's approval. I've finally received Master's approval." Zhu Yan was so excited that he staggered after Su Fang. The blacksmithing geniuses who had come to challenge Su Fang did not expect Su Fang to return after showing his face, treating them like air. After a moment of shock, they exploded in anger. "Fang Yu, how dare you ignore us like this? Arrogant, arrogant! Who do you think I am? How dare this person ignore me and suppress him?" Su Fang turned around to look at the refining geniuses and said indifferently, "My refining ability has been recognized by Lord Jiangyin. Who do you think you are to question my refining ability? Are you doubting Lord Jiangyin's judgment?" The geniuses were speechless. No matter how arrogant they were, they wouldn't dare to question the Jiang clan's leaders. The Jiang clan was the absolute overlord of the incineration flame region. If the Jiang clan were to pursue the matter, not to mention them, even their clans would be implicated. "You just want to step on my head to boost your reputation. Should I stick my head out for you to step on before you can do what you want?" Su Fang's voice turned cold with a hint of killing intent. "Get lost. If you dare to cause trouble in my training hall again, don't blame me for suppressing all of you." Su Fang revealed a trace of lofty domineering aura at this moment, causing the geniuses to tremble and retreat one after another. At this moment, a young man who had been watching from the side said domineeringly, "I came to the Lu clan of the Incineration Flame region. You can use Lord Jiang Yin's power to intimidate others, but you can't intimidate me. Fang Yu, if you have the ability, compete with me. Otherwise, I'll teach the Zhu clan a lesson." The Lu clan? Su Fang raised his eyebrows. Madame Zhu transmitted her primordial spirit to Su Fang. "Master Fang, the Lu clan is a big clan in the Incineration Flame region, second only to the Jiang clan. They have a close relationship with the Jiang clan. Young Master Lu's name is Lu Lianfeng. Not only is his refining talent extraordinary, but he's also one of the top 10 peerless geniuses in the Incineration Flame region. His grandfather is also a powerful figure in the Jiang clan." Refining genius? There are too many geniuses in the Incineration Flame region. Any random cat or dog that pops up dares to call himself a genius. Su Fang snorted. Then, Su Fang suddenly formed a seal. The surrounding fire element force of nature quickly condensed in front of him. It turned into an astonishing flame that burned with sizzling sounds, releasing a terrifying heat wave. Lu Lianfeng's expression changed slightly. He sneered disdainfully, "If you dare to attack me, you'll die. Even Lord Jiang Yin won't be able to save you." Unexpectedly, Su Fang didn't attack. Instead, he formed a seal that turned into a seal that enveloped the burning flame. The flame immediately surged wildly, and a flaming sword was quickly formed. Lu Lianfeng sneered again. "You want to show off your ability to control fire in front of me? Any weapon refiner in the Incineration Flame region can do such a thing." Su Fang waved his hand and rolled the flaming sword in front of Lu Lianfeng. "Didn't you want to challenge me? If you can break this flaming sword, I'll accept your challenge. If you can't do it, get lost as far as you can. Don't jump up and down in front of my training hall like a clown." After saying that, Su Fang walked into the training hall with Zhu Yan. "You want to stop me with a mere flaming sword? How arrogant! This young master only needs 3 breaths of time to break your flaming sword body, and then step on your head." Lu Lianfeng was very disdainful. He formed a seal, and a shocking flame power enveloped Su Fang's flaming sword. After 10 breaths, the flaming sword remained motionless. After half an incense stick's time, the flaming sword was still burning. After an hour, Lu Lianfeng's face was pale, and his forehead was covered in sweat. His previous arrogance had long disappeared. As for the flaming sword, the flames continued to burn, and from time to time, there would be 1 or 2 explosions, as if mocking Lu Lianfeng. He had used all his strength, but he couldn't even shake the flaming sword that the other party had casually condensed. Yet he still wanted to challenge him. If he wasn't a clown, then what was? Those so-called weapon refiner geniuses who came to challenge Su Fang were all dumbfounded. They looked at the flaming sword foolishly. "What are you looking at? Are you waiting to see me make a fool of myself? Scram, all of you scram!" Lu Lianfeng was so angry that he let out a thunderous roar. The weapon refiner geniuses were frightened out of their wit. They left the Zhu clan with their heads and faces ashen. "Fang Yu, just you wait. I'll definitely defeat you at the Myriad Refinements Conference." Lu Lianfeng shouted fiercely toward the depths of the training hall. However, even he felt that he wasn't confident enough, so he left resentfully. Madame Zhu and the other Zhu clansmen were shocked as they looked at the flaming sword that was still burning. The flaming sword that Su Fang had created was the illusory fire cloud. Moreover, the flames had fused with Su Fang's 9 celestial suns' fire. Even a high-level Dao realm expert would find it difficult to shake a god-level hand seal and the 9 celestial suns' fire, let alone Lu Lianfeng. However, Su Fang had done it very cleverly. Moreover, no one would have thought that a mere Dao realm saint immortal cultivator like him could master such powerful hand seals and flames. Inside the training hall, Su Fang shot out a green xianguang. The dragon-taming wood's aura seeped into Zhu Yan's body. Zhu Yan's cracked skin quickly healed. In just 3 breaths, his body had recovered to its original state. Zhu Yan instantly felt hale and hearty. His body was filled with vitality. The pain and exhaustion from before had disappeared. He was surprised and delighted. Su Fang had become even more unfathomable in his heart. Zhu Yan looked at Su Fang with anticipation. "Master Fang, you're willing to take me as your disciple?" Su Fang didn't answer. He took out a jade slip and inserted a strand of divine sense into it. A moment later, he waved his hand and rolled the jade slip to Zhu Yan. There's an ancient body refinement technique in the jade slip called the 100 Orifices bloodline. I started cultivating this supreme body refinement technique. I'll give you 10 years. At the same time, I'll give you some pills. If you can cultivate your body to perfection, I'll consider taking you as an in-name disciple and teach you a supreme fire-type divine sense. Thank you, Master. Zhu Yan was overjoyed. He was about to kneel and kowtow to Su Fang when Su Fang released a divine aura to stop him. Don't be happy too early. The 100 Orifices bloodline is extremely difficult to cultivate and the process is extremely painful. Even I suffered a lot back then. If you give up halfway, I won't blame you. I'll definitely be able to cultivate this technique. Zhu Yan gripped the jade slip tightly. His eyes were filled with determination. Su Fang smiled faintly. Su Fang seemed to see a shadow of himself in this boy. Therefore, he decided to give him a chance. However, that would require him to be willing to work hard. The 100 Orifices bloodline was a supreme body refinement technique that Xu Wanjin gave to Su Fang. It was extremely extraordinary. Su Fang used less than 3 years to cultivate his body to perfection. It was also because of his perfect body and the 9 Suns' 9 transformations that Su Fang gradually gained other special constitutions and grew to his current height. Su Fang gave Zhu Yan 10 years and gave him some impotence pills to help him cultivate. If he couldn't cultivate his body to perfection, Su Fang couldn't help him much. At most, he could help him cleanse his marrow and give him some pills. If Zhu Yan could cultivate his body to perfection, Su Fang planned to teach him the illusory fire cloud. Whether he could cultivate the fire cloud emperor body would depend on his luck in the future. About half a year later, the refinement convention would be held in 10 years. The young blacksmiths of the Incineration Flame region hurried to the Jiang clan to participate in this once-in-a-million-years event. When Su Fang was about to go to the Jiang clan, an uninvited guest came to the blacksmith training hall. It was the middle-aged cultivator from the Chamber of Commerce who had exchanged 3 peak supreme-grade Dao weapons for Su Fang's flying sword. He had a young follower in green behind him. "Madame Zhu, please leave. I have something to discuss with Master Fang Yu." After seeing Su Fang, the middle-aged cultivator immediately asked Madame Zhu and the other Zhu clansmen to leave. Madame Zhu was surprised. She suspected that the Chamber of Commerce was trying to poach her.